Chapter 310. The grayish clouds filled the sky, preventing the sunlight from coming through like border guards. The foliage slowly danced with the howling wind. The gloomy sky warned the ground about the upcoming heavy rain through drizzles. While the drizzles were slowly transforming into a heavy downpour, Ethan came to the garden where he saw his beloved wife sitting on the bench holding the newspaper. He was holding the same newspaper as his wife. In her sorrow, Diana didn't even notice Ethan sitting beside her. First edition, eh? Ethan tried to open with a joke. It's not your fault, Diana. Ethan wrapped his arm around Diana's shoulder. I lost him because I was weak. Wasn't that my fault? You weren't weak, the Sky Hall was too powerful. You know that, everybody knows that. You had no choice. If anyone to be blamed, it's Sky Hall. Our son stole bread because he was hungry. She completely broke into tears after speaking those words. Diana couldn't even imagine what he went through. The overwhelming sadness made her heart bleed. As a man, Ethan wouldn't cry like Diana, yet even his eyes teared up when he read that. We'll get through this, Diana, like always, together. I promise you, we will reunite with our son. He wiped off the tears from Diana's face while lifting her face to look her in the eyes. You can now cultivate without Sky Hall knowing. No matter how long it'll take, we must reach the immortal stage. Then we'll have a lifetime making up to our son. Ethan had full confidence in Diana reaching the immortal stage because she was the #1 prodigy of the entire world. It only took her a month of cultivation to go from the core formation stage to the core strengthening stage. Her monstrous cultivation speed was what drew the attention of Sky Hall in the first place. She was meant to be the Holy Maiden. Even to this day, the name Harriet Hunt would shake the Aura continent. Before he heard everything that happened with Sky Hall, he thought only he and Diana's 2 sisters knew that Harriet Hunt is Diana. Ethan had to fake the 3 sisters' death to leave Aura continent. If anyone knew she's still alive, it would be only a matter of days before the royal family as well as the Hunt family storm into Elon to take her away. As far as Diana was concerned, her talent was more of a curse than a blessing. She lost too much because of her talent. To the outside world, Diana was happy for her children's talent, except she was more worried about them than feeling happy for them. She didn't want her children to suffer the same fate she does because of their talent. Diana never regretted leaving everything behind in Ar. If she hadn't left her family, her 2 sisters would have been married off to some wealthy old men while she would have ended up as the Holy Maiden. Diana's parents viewed the 3 of them as trophies instead of as their daughters. They wanted to use them to increase the Hunt family's influence and power. Because of her decision to leave Ara with her sisters, they were blessed with peace and a happy family. She never imagined the price for leaving her life on Ara behind would be her son. One day he will understand everything. Dien. The heavy downpour came with a thunderclap. Flashes of lightning flashed across their eyes. With the climate, Diana's mood also changed. Sky Hall, the veins in her eyes began to pop up, making her eyes redder and redder. You know, Ethan, I was trying to run away from being Harriet Hunt. She stood up from the bench. I can't run away from who I am. For a second when the lightning flashed, Ethan could swear he saw Harriet Hunt, the raven beauty of Ar. In his mind, her golden hair transformed into raven black while 2 swords appeared in her hands. Raven black hair, 2 swords, black dress from top to bottom, that was the Harriet the entire Aura continent was afraid of. If Ethan had seen Ghost, he would have been startled to see the similarities between Harriet and Ghost. I'm gonna make every single one of them who hurt my son pay. I am Hunt, Harriet Hunt, and I have a score to settle. Meanwhile, back on the Abyssal, Michael was standing in front of a giant mirror. He was in his gray sweatpants staring at his naked upper body in the mirror. Various degrees of burn wounds, bullet wounds, and scars riddled his body. 3 days ago when he woke up, the scars he had when he was on Earth as well as new scars magically appeared on his body. The system asked him to upgrade it if he wanted to know how and why the scars appeared. Those scars brought some bad memories. Moreover, Michael wondered why these scars suddenly appeared. He didn't know the Ghost soul piece and Abra's soul piece are slowly merging together into one as they were when he was born in this world. With the soul pieces merging, they brought the scars back. This change was visible to his eyes. What wasn't visible is that his mind and heart becoming one entity instead of 2, which were Ghost and Abra's. Until now, he thought he and Abra's were 2 different people. The truth was, however, they were the same. Only because of Sky Hall, his soul was split into 2. One piece ended up on Earth and grew up to be Ghost while the other grew up to be Abra's. Fate had brought the 2 pieces together once again. As he was staring at his body with mixed emotions, Gaia was whistling her favorite music while counting the gold coins they got from the restaurant. Nightmare was helping her by counting the stacks with her. Vidora just stood on Gaia's shoulder, supervising the 2 of them. Hey, Do you want to know the total collection or keep staring at your own body? Michael put on his t-shirt before jumping into the bed with Gaia. Hit me with it. Good, you're back. She pinched his cheek playfully. Well, we earned a whopping amount of 1.2 million in 3 days. Because of your fucking generosity, we need to give 20% of the earning to the sect so they could develop the river town. That would leave us with 960,000 gold coins. What about the cost of buying the ingredients and paying the wages? He wiggled himself from the pillow to Gaia's lap. She didn't mind as she would sometimes rest on his lap and he would do the same. I'm coming to that. Approximately we're spending 60,000 on both of them per month, so it's no biggie. No biggie? You know how many people we could feed or help with 60,000 gold coins? Nightmare rolled his eyes. Quit whining, you big lizard. We're swimming in millions of gold. Compared to that, 60,000 is like a drop, Iag retorted. You're a bad influence on the little girl. Michael twisted Gaia's ear looking at Iag. Who are you calling a little girl? I'll fuck you up. Iag bore her teeth after being called a little girl by Michael. She's a bad apple, I know that. Gaia chuckled instead of defending Iag to make the little hydra even more furious. Hee bad apple. Sarba, the silverhead, chuckled with the rest of them as Iag began to hit him in the head. Jokes aside, we need to cut the cost of buying the ingredients. When are they gonna start cultivating the fertile lands around the river town? If we could produce what we need in the river town, it'll save us the gold coins of buying them from the other towns and kingdoms while improving the economy of the river town, Michael asked. He let Gaia and Claire handle these kinds of things as they had more knowledge and experience compared to him. Old man Reiner will take care of cultivating the land so we could start producing veggies and stuff. We can improve the fishery by getting the fishermen new boats, building new docks. That still leaves us with exotic meat and seafood. There's no way we can get them in the river town. Reginald said he will introduce some of the contacts we could use to get these things for a cheaper price. I'm thinking about letting Raylene and Gloria handle the negotiation. After all, Gloria is the manager and Raylene should come out of her shell. I agree with that. Raylene is still too timid. Nightmare agreed with Gaia's plan. You're right, let them handle it. It's settled then. Gaia laid back on the bed with Michael. She rested her head on his hand as Nightmare and Vidora curled between them. I was talking to Raylene the other day. She said there are a lot of things to be done before the marriage. Oh, I'm listening. Michael winked at her. Kids hear you, perverted bastard. She quickly tried to cover Nightmare and Vidora's ears, but she neither had enough hands nor time to cover their ears before they heard and realized the hidden meaning behind Michael's words. Lord Lucifer. Their playtime was interrupted suddenly by Arya. They heard her voice in their ears through the earbud. Go ahead, Arya. Did you find anything? Lord Lucifer, Dark Queen. I'm at the harbor master's office. The container I told you about belongs to the Guardian Guild. They are going to load the container into a ship. Do you think the girls are inside? Gaia asked. I'm not sure, but something's precious inside as the container is guarded by men in full plate armor. By the looks of them, they must be very powerful. Plus, they are doing constant routine checks, timed guard changes. Do you know where the container is going? No, Dark Queen, no mention about where it is going in the manifest. Don't engage them, we are coming. Michael jumped off from the bed with Gaia. In a blink of an eye, they both transformed into Lucifer and Dark Queen. Let's go hunt. Check out the Discord if you want to see Diana/Harriet hunt. Chapter 311. At the edge of the cloud, there was a brilliant white patch, like a turning page catching the sun. The rest was dove gray with a subtle hint of purple, just enough to announce the coming sunset. The coastline welcomed sea and sky, the bluest of brothers, together with a covenant of everlasting beauty. Along with nature's evening sky and coastline, the man-made harbor formed a scene that looked like a painting. The ships of all sizes floated on the water, taking the rest they deserved before starting their journey. This was not a military harbor, so there weren't any warships like a brigade or man of war. The biggest ship that could be seen on the harbor was a merchant ship with 4 cannons on the top deck. The crane with a huge wheel attached to it kept producing creaking noises. One could see almost half of the royal land from the crane's top. When the last of the sunlight faded away from the place, 2 figures appeared on top of the crane. Their black capes fluttered in the wind. The light coming from the half-moon vaguely showed their bodies. That's the ship. Gaia pointed at a lone ship silently floating on the water far from the rest of the ships. It was a merchant ship but didn't have any cannons. From the outside look, the ship looked no different than a typical merchant ship used to transport goods from one port to another, except Michael could see 10 core formation level 8 warriors on board disguised as crew members. Where are the armored guys Arya was talking about? Gaia asked. Maybe in the below decks. We need to know their exact locations before doing anything human. They are not some weaklings we could waltz in and kill. It's time for a new skill, Michael thought as he entered the system with a specific skill in his mind. System, I need you to take whatever points you need and get me the X-ray vision. Remember, I need to see what's inside the ship and container, so don't get me a level 1 skill and ask me to upgrade until I have no points left. Geez, I get it. I know the right thing to give you, and I'll integrate it with Eyes of Darkness for 2000 badass points. So the total of buying X-ray vision, upgrading it to max level, and integrating it with Eyes of Darkness would cost you 8000 badass points. Get it done. He felt the familiar acute pain in his mind for a few moments. The moment the pain disappeared, he could feel another skill. Activating it was just as easy as breathing to him. When he willed his mind to activate the X-ray vision, the view in front of him turned dark blue. Soon he started to see yellow and red shapes moving around. This was not just an X-ray vision, this was a thermal vision. He willed his mind again to change his vision as his vision changed into another, the night vision. He had a smile behind his mask as he changed his vision to X-ray vision. He could now see in 3 types of visions. In addition to 3 types of vision, he could zoom in. How cool was that? They are in the back below decks. The girls are there too. Wait a minute. How do you know? Oh, I forgot to mention one thing, host. When he turned to look at Gaia, he couldn't help grinning, thinking about something. However, the system read his mind and decided to crash his mental party. You cannot see people naked using your visions, hee. The system let out a burst of evil laughter. It kinda sounded like a cartoon supervillain. You really are a god in the making. Can't you give some of your powers to me? She trusted Michael enough to not poke into his secret that he obviously couldn't share with her. Although she was proud and happy for him, she also felt a bit jealous. I'm sharing. How do you think your cultivation speed is skyrocketing? Stop joking around. I'm awesome, that's the reason for my cultivation speed, she proudly exclaimed. Michael wrapped his hand around Gaia with utmost care and love. From the moment he met her to this moment, everything seemed like a dream to him. He cherished every moment he spent with her. Let's stay like this for a little longer, she rested her head on Michael's shoulder. They were just about to engage in a battle, yet the wind, the scenery, the quietness brought them closer. You know, if this conquering the world doesn't work, we could just leave this world and run off to some other worlds together. You said it yourself, I'm a god in the making. When was the last time you heard a god fail? Ding, ding, ding. While they were embracing each other, a bell-ringing sound came from the harbor. Soon afterward, the ship with the core formation warriors slowly started to move. They didn't jump down from the crane to reach the ship. They just waited for the ship to sail far away from the harbor so no one would be able to call for reinforcement from the land. Until now, Michael never directly messed with the Guardians. What the fuck are these Guardians doing with Silver Moon girls? I know they are a shady bunch unlike many humans think, but this is too much. We can't say for sure the entire guild has a hand on the kidnappings. Maybe a few corrupted Guardians are the ones responsible for this. The Guardians were Michael's main foe, yet he couldn't believe the entire guild would involve in human trafficking. A few corrupted Guardians using their guild's power to do this shady thing seemed more likely. Even if we hand the scumbags responsible for this on a silver platter, the Guardians wouldn't do shit to them. They'll just tell us they would take care of the matter in-house. Best case, the scumbags will be stripped of their Guardian title. At worst, they will get a slap on the wrist. Typical. Michael snickered inside. The Guardian Guild wasn't too different from a government in some countries where politicians rarely got punished for their crimes. If the Guardians hadn't branded him as their foe who must be killed by any means necessary, Michael would have left them alone. Since that wasn't the case, he needed to root out the guild before they found out about his true identity and kill him. Come on, we should follow them at a safe distance. Michael slowly started to ascend to the sky with Gaia. He didn't cast the lightning dash to speed up his pace. They just followed the ship, keeping a safe distance from the ship. Due to their black armors, it was impossible to see them in the night without casting any spells. Wait, while Michael was flying above the ship, he noticed several defensive arrays on the upper deck thanks to the Eyes of Darkness. When he was in the treacherous ocean, he had to pop in a bunch of perception pills and depend on the system to break the illusion formations. But now, he could easily find the source points to break the formations. Although he found the source points, destroying from where he was would reveal his location as well as alert the guards. That's where Gaia came in. He quickly bought a laser pointer from the system for 100 badass points. What? Can you shoot that exact point from here? Can I? Humph, she sneered as the bow of Legolas painted in black materialized in her hand. She knocked an arrow, feeling the wind's direction before releasing it. The arrow soared through the arrow like a bullet. The moment the arrow hit the place pointed by the laser, Michael saw the defensive formation fade away. The guards were oblivious to the formation's disappearance. That's how you break a formation, find the source point, destroy it. Michael explained the reason why he asked to shoot that place. How many formations are remaining? She nodded before asking. One on the rudder stage, one on the crow's nest. Use the ice arrows. The first formation was located on the ship's far back, so firing an arrow did not alert the guards. However, there was a guard steering the rudder, and another one would soon come to take the crow's nest so he or she could watch over the skies and the sea around. If they found the arrows, they would alert the guards, which might make killing them difficult. Stealth seemed to be the best option to kill the warriors, especially the 2 core strengthening stage cultivators. Who knows what kind of spells they possess. Therefore, Michael wanted to kill them as discreetly as possible. Because of his alchemy trait, he created a new type of liquid. Mixing the liquid with water made the ice arrows immune to the fraction produced when flying through the air. Hence, the ice arrows won't dissolve in the air before hitting the target. However, after hitting the target, the liquid mixed water's molecular structure would be changed due to the collision force, resulting in immediate evaporation. The only downside of using the ice arrows is they weren't strong enough to penetrate a human body. That downside didn't matter when it came to destroying source points. Gaia quickly fired an arrow to the formation source point on the crow's nest before flying to the rudder stage, where they saw a core formation warrior steering the rudder while whistling carefree. Currently, there were 5 core formation guards roaming on the upper deck on top of the guard at the rudder. One of them reached the crow's nest with a quick swift jump. Boom, boom. The sound of thunderclaps could be heard coming from a distance. In addition to streaks of lightning, he saw a tornado forming in the distance. We should use that storm as a distraction to kill them all, she said. What's on Michael's mind? With a nod, Michael moved away from the ship instead of taking a risk of firing the ice arrow to the formation source point on the rudder stage. Chapter 3:12, This is why I hate the oceans. Bloody hell, mate. Let the others know we are running into a storm. Secure the cargo. I don't want anything to happen to the cargo. The core formation guards on the upper deck talked to each other while staring at the brewing storm on the horizon. Among the 6 guards on the upper deck, 2 were standing on the ship's front, 1 was standing on the crow's nest, 1 on each side of the ship tending the sail masts. The 6th one was the guy steering the rudder. Luckily, they were all staring at the storm, as none kept an eye on the rudder steering guard. Unfortunately, the source point of the formation on the rudder stage was beside the rudder steering guard. Even if she fired an ice arrow, the noise would alert the guard. Full Lucifer mode. The moment he ordered the system, his eyes began to shine in crimson red while the cloud of darkness, a cloud of black smoke, enveloped Michael around. That's the point. Wait for my signal before firing. Michael cast the lightning dash spell right when a lightning flash appeared to reach the guard. Just a second before reaching the guard, he also cast the death range, making the rudder stage completely dark. The guard was startled by the sudden darkness around him. But before he could do anything, Michael grabbed him from behind, taking off to the sky immediately. Crack. Michael snapped the guard's neck midway in the air. Breaking a neck was not as simple as they show in movies. It required technique, strength, and training. He had everything. The strength enhancement he got from death range made breaking the guard's neck as easy as breaking an egg. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points and 1,000 badass points. The moment he killed the guard, Gaia fired the ice arrow, breaking the last defensive formation. Take care of the 2 in the front, he'll take the other 2, Gaia nodded as she flew towards the ship's front from the back. The guards' focus was on the storm, so they didn't notice Gaia above them through the dark night. Plus, they were carefree because of the defensive formations, as they depended on the formations to alert them if there was an intruder on the ship. Michael was hovering directly above his 2 targets while Gaia stayed a few meters away from her targets so she could kill the 2 of them as quickly as possible. Go! The moment Michael gave the signal, she fired 2 arrows within a second. Each of them pierced the head of its target. On the other hand, Michael landed right between his targets before sending 2 lightning bolts from each hand at each target. Just like Gaia's arrows, Michael's lightning bolts also pierced its target's head. The guards didn't even have a moment to react. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points and 1,000 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points and 1,000 badass points. Ding. Subordinate Gaia killed a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points. Ding! Subordinate Gaia killed a core formation stage level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points. Congratulations to the host for leveling up. The current level is core formation stage level 9. Congratulations to the host for leveling up. The current level is core formation stage level 10. Whoosh! ZZ! The arrow and the bolt of lightning hit the guard standing on the crow nest before he could even close his mouth. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing a core formation stage, level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points and 1,000 badass points. The system has stockpiled the excess experience points for the host to break through later. He almost forgot about the points needed to break through to the core strengthening stage. Hearing the system notification in his mind put a grin on his face. Since he reached the core formation stage 10, his overall power increased significantly than before. Therefore, killing the 2 core strengthening stage cultivators would be much easier. Wait a sec, Michael said to Gaia when she landed on the deck. Under her gaze, he cast the lightning dash to reach one of the guards he just killed. He quickly picked up the body, tossing it into the ocean. As he disposed of the body, he didn't dare to steal their space rings for safety precautions. She continued to watch him throw the bodies one by one into the raging ocean. The howling sound created by the storm became louder and louder. Since there was no one at the rudder steering the ship away from the tornado, the ship was getting pulled in like iron towards a magnet. The raging sea violently hit the ship, shaking it to the point both Michael and Gaia had a hard time standing still. We need to finish this before that finishes everything, Gaia pointed at the giant tornado swirling in the distance. Don't fret it, Michael calmly said before opening up the latch beneath him to go down to the lower decks where they were keeping the girls. Through the creaky stairs, Michael and Gaia reached the lower decks. The howling sound of the wind became silent after closing the hatch. They were welcomed by a dark corridor with a couple of lanterns hanging on the wall to give just barely enough light to see what's in front of them. Using the X-ray vision, Michael located the remaining guards in the lower deck. The 2 core formation guards seemed to be playing a card game in one of the rooms 10 meters away from Michael. The 2 core strengthening stage cultivators were sitting in a meditative position in front of the girls. The girls seemed to be in a wooden container. All the girls were tied, but some of them were trying to move. The others, however, remained still. Michael and Gaia slowly sneaked towards the core formation guards. Go kill the core strengthening guards, I'll handle these 2, said Gaia. He knew she could kill them without a problem, yet he needed to do one little thing before leaving her. Michael squatted on the floor, looking at the space between the door and the floor. He then willed the system to give him the fear toxin vials in the storage. As he poured down the fear toxin, it evaporated into the room through the space. With this amount of fear toxin, it won't freak them out as usual, but it will mess with their mind. Be careful, after nodding, Gaia whispered. Giving a little nod, Michael left Gaia to reach the room where the girls and the last 2 guards are. The wooden door to the room was shut closed. From the other side, Michael could sense the arch energy circulation. The 2 guards were obviously cultivating despite the shakiness of the ship. They were oblivious to the fact the ship is heading towards a storm. Michael scanned the room for any formations. Luckily he found no formations. Just like before, Michael squatted down to send fear toxin into the room through the space between the door and the floor. He was careful not to make any sound. In a few seconds he poured 4 vials of fear toxin into the room. If there were no girls inside, he would have poured 4 more to completely mess with the guards' minds. Since that was not the case, he had to be careful with the amount of fear toxin he should pour, or the girls would die inhaling the toxin. After pouring enough fear toxin, he slowly turned the doorknob to open. The door creaked open to reveal 2 bald men in their early 40s cultivating in front of a wooden cargo container. The moment Michael closed the door behind, the 2 cultivators abruptly opened their eyes. So much for stealth, he thought. The old door creaked more than Michael wanted. Hence, the creaking sound made the cultivators open their eyes. Who are you? One of the bald men asked as they stood up. Lucifer, the other one quickly recognized Michael. The 2 of them suddenly shook their heads as the fear toxin started to take effect. Their pupils began to dilate. Although the fear toxin would make them hallucinate and kindle the darkest fear in their hearts, it wouldn't last long. The stronger the cultivator, the less the fear toxin's effect on them. That was why Michael couldn't go kill all the stronger cultivators using the fear toxin. Death range. Michael immediately cast the death range spell as the fear toxin's effect would fade away in a couple of minutes max. The room was completely darkened by the spell. Lightning dash. While they were stunned by the fear toxin and the death range spell, He used the lightning dash to close the gap between them. Poch. Poch. Ah! Michael stabbed the both of them in their throats with needles dosed in his paralyzing poison. The paralyzing poison prevented the cultivators from casting spells. The two guards stumbled backward. Michael didn't stop as he used the lightning dash yet again. This time he stabbed them with a dagger repeatedly. Since they were core-strengthening cultivators, he needed to use all of his strength to send the dagger into their bodies. Poch. 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 The blood kept splashing on Michael's suit of armor every time he stabbed them. He focused on their throats because throats were soft, as well as stabbing them in the throat would stop them from casting spells. It took Michael 20 stabs to make them fall down. In addition to paralyzing poison and fear toxin, Michael needed to cast death range as well as use the maximum speed of lightning dash to make the two core strengthening stage cultivators fall down. Even after getting stabbed 20 times in the throat and chest, they were still alive. Ding. Subordinate Gaia killed a core formation stage level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points. Ding. Subordinate Gaia killed a core formation stage level 8 cultivator. The reward is 210,000 experience points. Chapter 313. The ocean breathed, her surface rising and falling with rhythmic ease. The waves became her pulse that day, the echo of the souls she kept safe in her cradle of brine. Unlike the ocean he just left, the ocean in front of Michael was calm. The ocean breeze wrapped around him as the warmest of soft towels. The wind had become the orchestral conductor of the sea, sending waves into their crescendos all through the ballad that was the night. All about us was the perfume of the salty water and the fine spray that came as boldly as any viola flurry. It was as if the life of ones had entered the water, and the energy was so great that this great pulse came upward to form a steady rhythm. The sea is infinite blue in infinite weather patterns, yet in all this she is the prettiest color Michael ever saw. On the calm, the silent reaper floated like it was dancing with the ocean in a beautiful rhythm. The thrones which were previously placed in the captain's cabin were moved to the upper deck as Michael and Gaia rested on their thrones staring at the crew and the thing that was covered in grayish cloth. No one knew what's behind the cloth. They could only guess that whatever behind the cloth was at least 6 feet tall. Since Heinberg had been working with Senator Caius to reform the Senate and Tiberius was helping his people settle down in Gisel, Michael only brought Maxine to the ship to witness what he was about to do. In addition to Maxine, Sadie stood beside Maxine. Her eyes were red, her face was pale, and tears kept trickling out of her eyes. Except for Gibson, who stood behind Michael's throne, the crew members gathered around them keeping a distance. Among them, Shorty was shivering, not due to the coldness of the night but because of alcohol withdrawal. The cloudless sky let the abundance of moonlight that brightened the ship with its glimmering blue light. Michael rested his head on his fist, reliving the battle he just fought in his mind. By reliving the battle, he gained more knowledge about his weaknesses as well as strengths. System version 3.0 host. Michael cultivation level. Core formation stage level 10 experience points. 400,000/400,000, 1,300,000 points remaining to be consumed. Badass points. 125,000 skills and spells. Wind Blast, LVL3 Responsive Shield, LVL4 Environment Scanning, LVL3 Ignition, LVL3 Lightning Dash, LVL3 Energy Devolver, LVL1 Death Range, LVL3 Eyes of Darkness, Normal. Can sense the cultivation level of others. Eyes of Darkness, Lucifer. Can sense the cultivation level of others, can see through. Illusions Cloud of Darkness, Lucifer. Weak-willed enemies will lose their courage completely and surrender. Death range will be 50% more powerful. If activated in darkness, the host's cultivation level will be boosted 4 levels up regardless of the stage barrier. Wordless Spellcaster, Lucifer. In full Lucifer form, the host just has to think of the spell to cast it. Techniques. Swords of Destiny 93% Mastery Ring of Fire, 69% Mastery Serpent Maga, 90% Mastery Occupation. Core Disciple of Sunrise Sect, the Guardian of Sunrise Sect, Lord Lucifer of the Abyssal, the Dark Lord status. Healthy goals. Control the world, rebuild the Order of Death, utility function. Banker LVL3, ratio 1000 gold coins. 10 badass points, runic teleportation, X-ray vision, also integrated with Eyes of Darkness. Wealth. 1,900,000 gold, special trait. 5-star alchemist, 3-star. Inventor subordinates. Gaia warrior, loyalty level 100%. Raylene 5-star chef, loyalty level 99%. Arya, assassin, loyalty level 38%. Heinberg warrior, loyalty level 35%. Maxine Warrior, loyalty level 98%. Tiberius, Warrior, loyalty level 45%. Sadie, loyalty level 30%. The Silent Reaper Crew Pirates, loyalty level 85%. Base of operation: Sunrise Sect, the Abyssal, the Crypt, the Silent Reaper Familiars. Nightmare, Forest Dragon, Vidora, Three-Headed Hydra. After willing the system to show his status, he just stared at the status for a few moments. System, show me how powerful my spells are. It's becoming hard to perceive who can or cannot be killed with my spells. Reforming the status window will cost the host 1000 badass points. Take it. Reforming the status window. Showing host the spells with more information, skills and spells. Wind Blast, LVL 3. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can blast people and mess with celestial energy flow. Michael sighed seeing the system's information about the Wind Blast. It was right though, he had no confusion or questions about the Wind Blast. The more he used the spell, the more control he achieved over the air element. In the beginning he could only send a couple of blasts of wind from one hand. Now he could send several wind blasts from both of his hands. In addition, he could reshape the blasts into crescent-shaped wind blades. Although the crescent blades were not powerful enough to cut a person in half, it was powerful enough to leave a nasty cut, especially if he attacked anyone below the body strengthening stage. Responsive Shield, LVL 4. Absorb any spell attacks from anyone on or below the stage body strengthening stage. Environment Scanning, LVL 30. The spell would detect hostiles and friendlies in a 20 m radius. Ignitia, LVL 3. The spell can kill anyone on or below core formation level 3, ignoring the defensive spells belonging to the class rare or below. The spell's power would be decreased by 50%, 75% by defensive spells belonging to the class epic and legendary respectively. After casting Death Range, Ignitia can kill anyone on or below core formation level 6, ignoring the defensive spells belonging to the class rare or below. Lightning Dash, LVL 3. Anyone on or under the body strengthening stage wouldn't be able to spot the host, but bolts of lightning. Cultivators below core formation 4 could make out the host's figure in a blurry vision. To the eyes of cultivators above core formation 4, the host will move 30% faster. After casting Death Range, anyone on or under the core formation level 6 stage wouldn't be able to spot the host, but bolts of lightning energy devour, LVL 1. Specific types of arch energy could be absorbed and transformed into experience points. System level is too low to give more information. Death Range, LVL 3. The host's power will rise by 30%. Eyes of Darkness, normal. Can sense the cultivation level of others. Eyes of Darkness, Lucifer. Can sense the cultivation level of others. Can see through illusions. Cloud of Darkness, Lucifer. Weak-willed enemies will lose their courage completely and surrender. Death Range will be 50% more powerful. If activated in darkness, the host's cultivation level will be boosted 4 levels up regardless of the stage barrier. Wordless Spellcaster, Lucifer. In full Lucifer form, the host just has to think of the spell to cast it. A while after pondering, Michael decided to upgrade a few of the existing ones before buying new spells. Okay, I think I should first upgrade the Responsive Shield. Level 5 Responsive Shield will be able to absorb any spell attacks from anyone on or below the stage core formation level 2, cost 10,000 badass points for upgrading it to level 5. 15,000 badass points for upgrading it to level 6, which would absorb any spell attacks from anyone at or below the stage core formation level 4? I'm confused. Do I have to spend 25,000 to upgrade it to level 6? Or I can give you 15,000 points to jump from level 4 to level 6. Yeah, you wish. You need to spend 10,000 badass points to upgrade the spell from level 4 to level 5 and 15,000 points to upgrade it from level 5 to level 6. The system recommends the host upgrade the spell instead of being stingy with points. You have no other defense spells in your arsenal, and who knows how many freaks would compete in the tournament. The system was right. He couldn't be cocky or half-prepared, especially when he knew that prodigies from all over the Elon continent would come to the tournament. If he didn't upgrade the spell to at least level 6, any core formation prodigy with epic or legendary spell could easily kill him. Upgrade the spell? Good decision. The system appreciated Michael's decision. The next moment the number of badass points decreased from 125,000 to 100,000. Next one should be Lightning Dash. In level 4, anyone at or under the core formation stage level 5 wouldn't be able to spot the host, but bolts of lightning. Cultivators from core formation level 6 to level 8 could make out the host's figure in a blurry vision. To the eyes of cultivators above core formation 8, the host will move 40% faster. Upgrading it to level 4 would cost the host 20,000 badass points. Upgrade it, Michael said without any hesitation. After upgrading, the responsive shield could protect him from anyone at or below core formation level 4. When dealing with anyone above this level, he could use lightning dash that would give him enough speed to escape from their offensive spell and kill them using his swords or spells. Next spell, Ignitia. In level 4, Ignitia can kill anyone at or below core formation level 5, ignoring the defensive spells belonging to the class rare or below. The spell's power would be decreased by 40%, 70% by defensive spells belonging to the class epic and legendary respectively. The upgrade will cost you 30,000 badass points. I need to ask, what about people above core formation level 6? There's no direct answer whether you could kill them with one lightning bolt or many. It depends on the target's defensive spell. Basically, if you're attacking anyone above core formation level 6 who did not cast any defensive spell, Ignitia can wound them severely or even take their life if you aim for the vital parts. However, if they cast any defensive spells, you won't be able to kill them with one shot. So what's the point in leveling up when I can just upgrade the spells using badass points? You can't upgrade the spells if you are not strong enough. Don't forget that your cultivation stage will affect the power of your spells. The more you level up, the more powerful your spells would become. Alright, upgrade Ignitia to level 4. As he was leveling up and upgrading the spells, he realized one thing: everything had become much more complicated than before. Moving forward, he knew he must be cautious and plan everything as he did on Earth. I have posted the character image of Harriet Hunt with her theme music. Come check it out. Chapter 314. After upgrading the spells, he had 50,000 badass points remaining. However, he was not finished upgrading his spells. System, I need you to tell me how much would it cost me to upgrade the runic teleportation so I can teleport people who are not my subordinates without buying teleportation scrolls every single time? Every time he teleported someone who's not his subordinate, it cost him from 4,000 badass points to 10,000 points depending on the teleportation destination and number of people he had to teleport. If he could teleport people by any other means, he wouldn't have to carry the container to the Silent Reaper. Why do you want to do that? Michael sensed a slight panic in its voice. The system was happily selling him teleportation scrolls. Hearing him want to change his methods frightened the system, as it wouldn't get many badass points as it did before. Can you or can you not? Michael very well knew the reason for the system's panic. Of course the system can. But unlike the teleportation scrolls, the runic teleportation will be able to only teleport 3 people who are not the host's subordinates at once. It would cost you 45,000 badass points. The system recommends you to keep buying teleportation scrolls as they are more time efficient and take less toll on your body. Oh, you recommend? Michael chuckled. No need, just upgrade the runic teleportation. You do know that you can't use runic teleportation while you're in a battle, right? I know, system. I'm not gonna keep buying your teleportation scrolls unless I absolutely have to, so be it. The system sounded mad. Soon his badass points decreased to 5,000 points, ending his upgrade spree. He wanted to upgrade Wind Blast if he had enough points. Since it wasn't the case, he decided to upgrade the spell later. Although he didn't upgrade the spell, leveling up gave the spell enough power boost to knock out a group of weak cultivators in a few seconds. System version 3.0 Host. Michael cultivation level. Core formation stage level 10 experience points. 400,000/400,000, 1,300,000 points remaining to be consumed. Badass points. 125,000 skills and spells. Wind Blast, LVL3 Responsive Shield, LVL5 Environment Scanning, LVL3 Ignitia, LVL4 Lightning Dash, LVL4 Energy Devour, LVL1 Death Range, LVL3 Eyes of Darkness, Normal. Can sense the cultivation level of others. Eyes of Darkness, Lucifer. Can sense the cultivation level of others, can see through. Illusions Cloud of Darkness, Lucifer. Weak-willed enemies will lose their courage completely and surrender. Death range will be 50% more powerful. If activated in darkness, the host's cultivation level will be boosted 4 levels up regardless of the stage barrier. Wordless Spellcaster, Lucifer. In full Lucifer form, the host just has to think of the spell to cast it. Techniques. Swords of Destiny 93% Mastery Ring of Fire, 69% Mastery Serpent Maga, 90% Mastery Occupation. Core Disciple of Sunrise Sect, the Guardian of Sunrise Sect, Lord Lucifer of the Abyssal, the Dark Lord status. Healthy goals. Control the world, rebuild the Order of Death, utility function. Banker LVL3, ratio 1000 gold coins. 10 badass points, runic teleportation, X-ray vision. also integrated with Eyes of Darkness. Wealth, 1,900,000 gold special trait. 5-star Alchemist 3-star. Inventor subordinates, Gaia Warrior, loyalty level 100%. Raylene 5-star Chef, loyalty level 99%. Arya, Assassin loyalty level 38%. Heinberg Warrior, loyalty level 35%. Maxine Warrior, loyalty level 98%. Tiberius Warrior, loyalty level 45%. Sadie loyalty level 30%. The Silent Reaper Crew Pirates, loyalty level 85%. Base of Operation: Sunrise Sect, the Abyssal, the Crypt, the Silent Reaper Familiars. Nightmare, Forest Dragon, Vidora, Three-Headed Hydra. After taking a second look at his status window, he was satisfied. He exited the system to see everyone staring at him. His eyes were fixed on Shorty, who was shivering due to the alcohol withdrawal. Shorty's determination to become a cultivator surprised him. At first, he thought Shorty was asking him to become a cultivator for fun, but his determination told Michael that fun wasn't the only thing Shorty is looking for. Sadie was still sobbing. Her anger was overshadowed by guilt and grief. Turning his gaze back to Shorty, Michael began to speak. He was still in his full Lucifer form, so his voice wasn't humane, it sounded unearthly. "Gibson, tell me how many types of people there are in this world?" Michael asked Gibson, who was standing behind the throne. "Two kinds? Good and bad?" Gibson said with uncertainty. "Do you know the difference between them?" Michael asked. "Good people are good, bad people are bad?" Yet again Gibson sounded uncertain. None of them had a clue why Michael was asking these questions, including Gaia. "That's a textbook answer, Gibson. In real life the answer is much different than that." Michael stood up from his throne. "Good people think if they don't hurt others, they don't get hurt. They try to live by a code of honor or the word of God or anything that lets them sleep at night peacefully. They don't realize they are just prey for the bad ones." As he was speaking, he walked to Sadie. "Even if they do realize it, they can't do what's necessary to protect themselves and people they care about. The code they live by, it's a prison that hurts them forever. If they end up in a mess, they just expect someone else to save them. The funny thing is, they expect that someone else will clean up their mess without crossing their code. If he or she did, the good ones brand them as evil, dark ones, etc., etc." Michael made his way towards the cloth wrap thing. "Let me show you the difference between a good person and a bad one." He took off the cloth after speaking to reveal the two bloodied core-strengthening cultivators. They were tied up to separate poles. The cloth wrapped around their mouths prevented them from screaming or making a sound. These two pathetic worms helped someone kidnap 40 young girls, witnessed the girls suffer unspeakable things, and finally they tried to smuggle the girls somewhere. Probably whoever asked them to kidnap the girls planned to sell them as slaves for a price. Tears broke out of Sadie's eyes as Michael went on. 20 girls died in that container, and the rest of them have been scared for the rest of their lives. Now those girls were good girls who just obeyed an order of their superior. Michael put his hand on one of the cultivator's shoulders. He started to apply pressure as the shoulder bone began to crack. The cultivator's scream of agony was muffled by the cloth. The cracking sound of the bone gave a chilling to the pirates. "Sadie here is also a good girl. She tried her absolute best to find those girls, and she even went to such a height to summon me." He flicked his wrist as a dagger materialized in Michael's hand. He ran the dagger slowly on the cultivator's body. The dagger was so sharp it kept making shallow cuts on the cultivator's body wherever Michael ran the dagger. "She thinks she did everything she could to save those girls. But what about doing something to punish the person responsible for this? Sadie, can you do what's necessary to find the person who is responsible?" From these 2-inch, Michael asked. Everyone turned their gazes towards Sadie. Since they didn't see the ravaged status of the girls in the container, they didn't feel any anger or sadness but were just curious to see what Michael was going to ask her to do. She slowly walked towards the two cultivators. Her body shivered in anger as her eyes turned redder and redder. When she came closer, Michael placed the dagger in Sadie's hands. "Make them tell you who ordered the kidnapping and where they were transporting the girls. You know what to do." Michael stepped aside. He folded his arms, waiting patiently for Sadie to start the interrogation, although he knew what's about to happen. "Just cut them open slowly, of course. We don't want them to die, at least not yet," Gaia said, sitting on her throne. The cultivators mumbled. "I forgot to tell you, you are on the southern continent. So no use in trying to cast spells." A glimmer of shock emerged in their eyes. Soon the glimmer of shock turned into utter helplessness. No matter how hard the cultivators struggled against the pole or the rope that tied them, they couldn't escape. "Come on, Sadie, what are you waiting for?" Michael asked as Sadie slowly moved the dagger in her hands towards the cultivators. Her hands were shaking. Who ordered you to? Sadie stuttered. She placed the dagger in the cultivator's body, yet she couldn't cut his flesh. Torturing people was not her strong suit. Even though she was overwhelmingly angry at the two of them, she couldn't get herself to torture them. What's the hesitation, Sadie? Do you think the guys who ravaged those girls showed any hesitation? Michael calmly asked before removing the cloth from one cultivator's mouth. You're dead. You're all dead. The moment Michael removed the cloth, the cultivator screamed. You stupid bitch, he spat on Sadie's face. Since Michael gave them enough healing potions, their wounds were all healed up. They kept screaming for your help until we knocked the teeth off their beautiful mouths. Looking at his evil grin, even some of the pirates wanted to grab the dagger from Sadie's hands and start cutting him into pieces. When they find you all, we do much worse to your wives, daughters, mothers. And you bitch, they are planning something real nice for you, he said, looking at Sadie with menacing eyes. Chapter 3:15. The two cultivators almost shed their fear after hearing they are in the southern continent because they knew they wouldn't be able to escape. Hence, instead of begging for their lives, they antagonized everyone. Let me help you get started. Michael grabbed Sadie's hand from behind. He moved the dagger towards the cultivator's chest. Arg, the cultivator grumbled as Michael slowly applied pressure to the dagger. The dagger gradually penetrated the skin around the cultivator's left nipples. Michael felt Sadie trying to move the dagger back. I can't. Finally, Michael let go of her hand. Sadie stumbled backward away from the cultivator before dropping the dagger on the ground. No matter how angry she was, she couldn't torture them. She did not have it in her. Stupid bitch, the cultivator cursed in pain. Everything happened as Michael expected. With a gentle stomp to the ground, the dagger flew right back into his hand. He then turned back to look at his crew. You see, even when the scumbags who hurt her and the people she cared about are standing right in front of her, she can't do what's necessary. Because she's a good person. Being a good person is not the way to go sometimes. Sometimes, you need to be bad, you need to be evil to get what you want, to get it done what must be done. As he said, he threw the dagger to Maxine. Show them how it's done. With pleasure, Lord Lucifer. Maxine grinned evilly. Seeing the menacing look on her face, the cultivators felt a chill running through their spines. Another bitch, he cursed to hide the fear in his heart. Maxine just smiled as she got closer to him. She started from where Sadie left off. Who gave the order to kidnap those girls? She asked with a smile. Go fuersh. Maxine made a quick cut circling his nipple as the cultivator experienced a hellish pain. There was no arch energy to ease his pain. She ripped off his nipple. Many of the pirates felt a tingling sensation witnessing the scene. You have many parts one could cut, including your favorite one. She tapped the bloody dagger on his crotch. By the look in her eyes, the cultivator could tell she's not playing around. I'm not gonna ask you again. I'll just keep cutting you piece by piece until you give me an answer. She moved the dagger to the right side. A line of blood trail appeared from left to right. Arga. Just like before, she made a cut around his other nipple. This is gonna get only worse for you, Michael reminded the cultivator while walking towards the other cultivator who was not getting tortured by Maxine. Don't forget about our guest here, Maxine. The cultivator's cries were muffled by the cloth. No one felt a shed of pity for the two cultivators, especially not the ones who saw the condition of the girls. Back on Earth, Michael witnessed gory scenes while dealing with human traffickers, but compared to what the Silvermoon girls went through, the girls on Earth had it easy. I'm getting bored here. How about we spice things up? Gaia stood up from her throne. While she was walking towards Maxine, a ball of hot red flame appeared above her hand. What do you have in mind, Dark Queen? Maxine asked as Gaia turned back to look at Gibson. It's a bit chilly here. Go bring me the oil barrel, we're gonna have a bonfire. Yes, Dark Queen. Gibson was one of the few people who saw the girls. After seeing those girls, he wanted everyone who had a hand in this nefarious human trafficking to suffer. He limped off to the below deck to bring the oil barrel, taking a few crew members. You're all gonna pay. The Guardian Guild will hunt you down. The cultivator screamed. Beneath his mad cry, there was a hint of fear. You don't get it, do you? Michael grabbed the cultivator by his neck. They are not hunting me, I'm hunting them. The images of the ravaged girls flashed across Michael's eyes as his hold around the cultivator's neck tightened. The cultivator's eyes started to bulge. The oil is here, Dark Queen. Hearing Gibson's voice, Michael let go of the neck. The cultivator breathed heavily as the redness slowly appeared back on his face. Aha! Pour the oil on them, Gaia ordered Gibson. As you wish, Dark Queen. There was no hesitation in Gibson's voice. As far as he was concerned, No amount of torture is enough for the two cultivators. One of the pirates handed Gibson a bucket to pour the oil on the two. Michael patiently waited for Gibson to finish pouring the oil. He was glad to see this side of Gibson, as Michael would rather have a few ruthless subordinates than 100 soft-hearted ones. Sadie watched Gibson pouring the oil on the two cultivators without uttering a single word. Before actually meeting the two, she wanted to make them suffer. However, when she was given the opportunity, she simply couldn't. The smell of strong crude oil permeated the air. Whoever answers the question first lives and get to leave the ship alive, and the other burns slowly. A glimmer of hope appeared in the cultivator's eyes. Before escaping her home kingdom, she orchestrated many tortures in the dungeons beneath her castle. She would torture the criminals who enjoyed torturing others. Of course, Zanali and her mother strictly prohibited torture in prisons, but that didn't stop Gaia from doing it secretly. Because of her prior experience, she could tell who would break and who would die before giving out the needed information. The two cultivators in front of her looked like the latter type. Hence, she decided to give them hope of escaping, as it would mostly work with their type. There was a strong possibility for the two cultivators to lie, yet she wouldn't have come this far if she couldn't detect a lie. "Let's begin," Gaia snapped as the ball of fire above her hand split into two. The two orbs of fire gradually floated towards the two cultivators. Maxine removed the cloth from the other cultivator's mouth so he could speak up. "Shit," the cultivator who was antagonizing everyone cursed under his breath. "I won't tell you shit," the cultivator shouted, but the other one who didn't get tortured by Maxine had mixed emotions written on his face. "Tick-tock, assholes, tick-tock," Gaia snickered as the fireball got closer and closer to them. "Will you really let me go if I tell you everything I know?" "Shut up, Carl," the one who got tortured shouted at the other one. Carl, however, didn't even look at him, as all of Carl's focus was on the approaching fireball. "You have my word, Carl. Tell us everything and we will let you go," Michael reassured Carl. Carl felt the warmth of the fire. He knew it's only a matter of seconds before he burns alive. Getting burnt to death was not worth any amount of gold coins. It's Minister Magnus. Since Sadie also doubted he's the one behind all this, Michael and Gaia knew Carl is telling them the truth. "We have a winner here, boys," Gaia clapped as the fireball approaching Carl disappeared while the other one lighted the oil. "Ah!" The scream of the cultivator reverberated in the sea. He kept twitching as the fire completely enveloped him. The fire burnt the ropes that tied him to the pole. He tried to roll on the ground, except it was too late. "Look at how he's enjoying his fire bath, Carl," Gaia chuckled evilly. "We can give you the same experience if you don't tell us everything. I mean everything you know." Carl's face was completely pale. He saw his colleagues charred, remaining on the ground, radiating smoke. Just thinking about it made Carl's hair stand up straight. "Maxine, bring Carl to our room." Maxine nodded before dragging Carl behind Gaia towards the captain's cabin. Michael, on the other hand, walked towards Sadie. She was still looking pale as her body kept shaking. "If you don't come out of your shell, more people you care about will get hurt. Think about it while you bury your fallen sisters." As he walked past Sadie, Gibson came to him. "Lord Lucifer, what about the rest of them?" Sadie turned back. She didn't know what to do with the girls. They should go to Tiberius land. After everything that happened to them, they need to be with people they can relate to. Coordinate with Heinberg and see to it personally. Considering Tiberius people were slaves who endured the abuse of their masters for years and overcame the trauma, Michael thought it would be better if the girls went there instead of Elon. Sending them back to Elon would only make everything worse for them. Lord Lucifer," Sadie stuttered as Michael stopped walking. "Can I say my goodbyes to them? You were responsible for them. So they will blame you and your sect for everything. You can watch the girls settling down from a distance." After speaking these words, Michael entered the captain's cabin. "Lord Lucifer is right, Mississippi. Those poor girls have suffered enough. You meeting them will bring back memories they must forget." Gibson gently patted Sadie's shoulder to console her. Sadie broke down into tears. Deep down she knew they were right. They are going to a much better place, Mississippi. That place and the people living there will help them overcome their trauma. I wrote an elaborate, sick, gory torture scene, but I learned that it might get flagged as the novel is for the general audience. So I cut them down. Hope you still enjoy the chapter and let me know your thoughts. Chapter 316. A pointy-ears woman was standing in front of a plain glass window. She stared at the ocean beneath her. The clouds slowly brushed past the window. "He's their Alpha Guardian," another pointy-ears woman walked into the room. The woman put her cloak on her head before turning back. So the Kethan kid was right. The Alpha Guardian had a surprised look on her face. She then walked towards the door with royal grace. After leaving her room, the Alpha Guardian saw several huge telescopes with golden runs glowing on them. Her team of Guardians was looking through the telescope to keep the target in their sight. All of them were standing under an arch-shaped glass ceiling. The hall slowly moved through the clouds. One could see several runes in various shapes flickering on the glass ceiling. The bright moonlight acted as their chandelier, giving its radiant blue to light up the hall. "Are the rune archers ready?" the Alpha Guardian asked her assistant. "They are in place, Alpha Guardian." The Alpha Guardian looked through the glass to see several figures dressed in white to blend with the clouds floating in the air with huge crossbows in their hands. Her gaze then locked on the ship floating on the horizon. "Alpha Guardian," another one entered the room. The figure quickly knelt in front of the Alpha Guardian before taking off the cloak. "Is your team ready, Guardian Peyton?" "We are waiting for your order, Alpha Guardian." "Lead them well, Guardian Peyton." Peyton's brows arched up in surprise. She was lost for words after hearing the Alpha Guardian. "I cannot cross the void line as it might wake up something that shouldn't be woken up. So I'll trust you to lead the team." The Alpha Guardian's tone sounded like an order. In front of her, Peyton was meek as a house cat. "You won't regret this, Alpha Guardian." Peyton never looked so proud and confident in her life before. She now had the power of the entire Hunter Guardians behind her. Just as Peyton was about to leave, the Alpha Guardian called her. "Peyton, we don't take prisoners." Her words were cold, filled with murderous intent. Peyton nodded obediently before leaving the hall. "Tiriana." After Peyton left the hall, the Alpha Guardian called her second in command. "Alpha Guardian, shadow them and protect the Kethan kid." "He's not ready yet." "As you wish, Alpha Guardian. But why send him in at all if this is not safe for him?" For the rest of the Guardian Guild, Tiriana was Alpha Guardian's second in command, but in reality they were best friends. Hence, only Tiriana had the guts to question the Alpha Guardian. "Because Peyton is not a leader, he is." Before Tiriana could ask another question, the Alpha Guardian answered her question as she had read Tiriana's mind. "Peyton is expendable like all of us, Tiri, but not him. So shall we leave?" "I need a good night's sleep before the tournament." Gaia was lying on the bed as Michael was modifying the APD to be undetectable during the tournament. "Instead of sleeping, you should cultivate. Do not underestimate your opponents, Snake. Have some faith, jerk. It's not like I'm going to lose to a bunch of body-strengthening kids." She sent a bolt of arch energy to hit him on the shoulder with a flick. "I'm not talking about the run-of-the-mill cultivators. I'm talking about the prodigies." Speaking about prodigies, Gaia turned sideways on the bed to look at him. "You are not as mad as I thought about human trafficking. You're awfully calm. What would you want me to do? Loose my screws and go berserk on Minister Magnus? You of all people know there are thousands of people who get hurt every day. We can't stop them all, or it's not our focus right now." Michael finally fixed the APD with the help of the system. He put the APD back around his wrist. What happened to those girls was indeed a tragedy, but every tragedy comes with an opportunity. I just utilized it. If we were to go with the plan of recruiting Sadie before, she would have contacted the Guardian Guild in a split second. But now Michael just grinned. "You're cold as fuck and that's why I love you." She jumped up from the bed towards him. Wrapping her hands around his neck from behind, she gently landed a soft kiss on his cheek. Boom. "What the?" Just as she was about to reach for his lips, the entire shoe violently shook. She would have thrown off to the wall if it wasn't for her hands around his neck. Michael's face immediately turned serious as he detected several hostiles approaching the ship from all directions. They appeared so suddenly. "We are under attack." Boom. Boom. The ship shook again as the booming sound continued to reverberate. Soon, the wall behind Michael's throne was obliterated into millions of wooden splinters by a 5-meter-long purple arrow. Lightning dash. He immediately cast the lightning dash, sensing another arrow soaring towards them. "Arg, human." Michael growled as Gaia saw an arrowhead striking out from Michael's chest. The arrow would have pierced her if he didn't shield her with his body. Poch. Grr. Before the APD could completely heal the wound, another arrow pierced him from behind. "Go put all our crew in the container and tell Gibson to submerge." Ignoring the pain, Michael quickly ordered Gaia. He could sense some powerful figures approaching them. Boom. 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 The sound of cannon fires appeared again. The ship was getting destroyed in all directions. He could see the smoke and flames coming through the hole behind him. His focus was not on saving the ship but saving Gaia and the crew. "You're coming with us." Lightning dash. As Gaia shook her head, Michael dashed away, yet he was too late as another arrow pierced his shoulder. His blood splattered on Gaia's face. She began to shiver. "We have no time to argue, go." Activating the death range, Michael stomped the floor as they dropped from their cabin to the below deck. They were knee-high in water. The huge holes in the hull let the seawater rush inside the ship. He could see the ship would sink in a few hours if this attack continued. Go! Pushing away Gaia, he raised his arms at her. A strong gust of wind immediately sent her flying away from him. Since Maxine left with Sadie to meet with Tiberius, the task of saving the crew fell on Gaia's shoulder. Michael leaped back to the cabin through the hole again. Instead of using lightning dash which might reveal his identity as Ghost, he flew out of the room. The moment he stepped out of the cabin, he was welcomed by numerous airships hovering above them. Each of them resembled a man of war with a huge air balloon attached on top to make them fly. Michael pulled out the 3 arrows sticking out of his chest one by one. He stored them in his space ring before moving towards the door to the below deck. He tried to remain calm despite being surrounded by several warships in all directions. He ripped off a wooden piece from the wall. Then he shoved it across the door to prevent anyone from the other side from opening. The ship then began to vibrate as the captain's cabin slowly moved downwards. Michael relaxed a bit, realizing the submerging still works. He calmly walked towards the captain's cabin, looking at people wearing silver armor dropping from the warships above him using ropes. Guardians, everything around him moved in slow motion. The sight of his ship getting bombarded to death gave him a mixed emotion of sadness and anger. He couldn't help wondering how the Guardians managed to locate him. It seemed like someone outsmarted him or left a piece of evidence behind somewhere that led them to him. As he was walking to his room, he noticed golden arrows soaring through the cloud. They didn't hit him but landed on the deck in a formation. The formation soon created a translucent blue dome around the ship. Whoosh! In a couple of moments, the entire Silent Reaper submerged into the water. Human, are you there? Gaia's voice sounded in his head. Her voice was filled with dread and panic. Take all of them to the crypt. Don't come back under any circumstance. No. You can't leave me, her voice stuttered. I'm not. Just do what I said. They'll put airbags in your space ring, use them to breathe underwater. Unless you want me dead, do not come looking for me. Michael cut the connection between them immediately. He didn't have time to argue with Gaia. Entering the system store, he quickly bought airbags for the crew to breathe inside the container. The host cannot use runic teleportation while in a battle. The system reminded him. Although he did not forget about this, he just tried his luck. His room immediately flooded with seawater. He sat on his throne waiting for the ship to emerge so he could welcome the Guardians personally. As he was sitting on his throne, the cloud of darkness slowly faded away. He felt something blocking him from using arch energy. The sensation was similar to what he felt during the fight with the young master. The young master used a rune formation to prevent Ghost from using the lightning dash. This felt similar but stronger. After the ship emerged from the water, in addition to hearing several footsteps, he also sensed the warships circling the Silent Reaper in a diamond formation. His X-ray vision enabled him to see through the wall. He could see at least 50 core strengthening stage cultivators with crossbows, spears, and swords surrounding the cabin. Among those, there were a few weak ones. Instead of the core strengthening warriors, it was these weak ones that kept walking towards his cabin. He just placed an orb on the table, waiting for them to come in. Boom. The front door exploded into bits as 4 figures walked into the room through the cloud of dust. Michael recognized 4 figures immediately. They were Peyton, Zanali, Alicia, and finally Noah Winston. Lucifer, Peyton said as the core strengthening warriors in silver armor flooded the room surrounding Michael. Your game ends here. Chapter 317, Took you long enough, Michael said, lazily sitting on the throne. System, can you disable the formation around me? He asked the system in his mind. He sensed a dome of pressure around him that prevented him from using arch energy. Although it would be hard to kill all of them, if the system could disable the formation, he could use the runic teleportation to leave the ship. Did you really think if you're inside the void line we, the Guardians, cannot catch you? Peyton snickered. You have no idea how we caught you, do you? Michael wanted to ask them about it somehow, yet Peyton's ego was so big that she herself started to explain without even Michael asking. There's a saying in Elon, you know. Peyton started to walk around Michael with her hands behind. Her ample chest was puffed up as she felt so proud of herself. Guardians can go to places that even the air couldn't. Disabling the formation would cost the host 14,000 badass points. Currently, the host lacks the required points. Do you want to take a loan from the system for a measly 30% interest? Despite the pickle of a situation he was in, the system had the galls to joke around. Yes, do it. Oh? Alright then, the system sounded surprised. The system thought Michael would activate the banker function to convert the gold coins into badass points instead of taking a loan. As far as Michael was concerned, earning the required 4 million gold coins was harder than earning 18,000 badass points to settle the debt. Disabling formation has begun. 600 seconds remaining. 599 seconds remaining. A grin appeared on his face behind the mask. You were too busy playing the good guy to notice a guardian hiding in the container with the Silver Moon girls. Gina, Peyton clapped as a girl in ravaged clothes entered the room. She had an oval face smeared with mud, blood, and oil. It was hard to differentiate mud from her brown hair. Michael looked directly into her hazel eyes before taking his eyes away from her. Michael saw this girl among the Silver Moon girls. Unlike Peyton was thinking, he did anticipate a spy. That was why he kept the girls alone in a separate room, not letting any of his crew except a few. He realized that Gibson failed to count the girls before sending them to Tiberius. Good thing that he always kept his crew away from the girls, as Gina probably had not seen their faces. Without seeing their faces, the chances of capturing them in the southern continent were 0 to none. It seemed that Gina used the darkness of the room to escape Gibson's eyes. She was probably hiding in the room, communicating with the Guardians until now. So you know what happened to those girls and who was responsible? Michael asked Peyton but directed his gaze at Noah. He will be punished for his crimes just like you, Peyton calmly said. Well, let me guess, you're still investigating, Michael snickered. He couldn't believe the incompetence of the Guardians. You don't have to worry about that, Lucifer, or should I call you the Dark Lord? Peyton stopped walking to stare him in the eyes. We will catch him just like we caught you. Justice will prevail, Zanali coldly spoke instead of Peyton. Ha! They were slightly stunned by the sudden laughter escaping Michael's mouth. Cut your bullshit, Naga, Zanali clenched her fist as her mouth kept opening and closing in shock. She was quite speechless. Among the people in the room, only Peyton knew about her race. She kept her Naga origin as a well-hidden secret. She couldn't figure out how he saw through her transformation. You never caught me. You're here because of him, Michael looked at Noah. If anyone could find him in this room, he knew it would be Noah. Noah's calmness spoke louder than Peyton's ego-filled words. I can tell that you were planning this for months. You might feel proud deep down, huh, Noah? Michael completely ignored Peyton and Zanali as he looked at Noah. I'm feeling proud. Catching an evil bastard like you always makes me proud and happy. Noah walked towards Michael from the corner of the room. He flicked his wrist as a throne made of pure gold appeared before the table, directly opposite to Michael. Everything around them slowed down, including the time itself. For a moment, Zanali saw a bright light radiating from Noah while pitch-black darkness radiating from Lucifer. You just used the girls who were raped, tortured, and killed to catch me. If I'm evil, what do you think makes you? Have you ever tried to catch Minister Magnus? Or you want more dead bodies as evidence before catching him? Don't worry after dealing with you. I'm going straight to Minister Magnus. He will pay for what he did just like you. What about his partners? Do you know the containers they were using to smuggle girls had the symbol of Guardians, not just the one Gina was in? Michael's question stunned Noah. Unlike Michael, who lived 2 lives, Noah was still naive compared to him. The Guardian Guild is not how it used to be, Andreas. The moment Michael uttered the name, Noah's eyes went wide. Subconsciously he touched his ring. The very next moment, a faint whistling sound reverberated the room. A sudden pressure enveloped the room. Thump, thump, thump. One by one, the core-strengthening warriors around Michael started to fall down. In a few moments, only Michael remained conscious as even Noah's eyes were shut closed. Soon an ethereal figure appeared beside Noah. The figure was a man in his early 40s. He had shoulder-length white hair, stubble beard, broad shoulders, as well as a mark of the rising sun right between his eyes. We finally meet Dark Lord, Supreme Guardian Andreas MacLeod, Michael said. When he was on the treacherous island, the sliver of soul left behind, Andreas talked about his successor. It was just a guess that Noah would be the successor. He always doubted that something weird going on with Noah, yet Michael never expected he had a ring with an OP grandpa in it. Moreover, the Supreme Guardian actually revealed himself to Michael instead of doing the opposite. It was a stupid move to reveal his successor to Michael, at least Michael thought that way. Warning. Warning. The host cannot kill Noah. The target has a powerful mark on him. At the current system level, the system cannot protect the host from dying if you killed Noah. The moment Michael thought about ending Noah's life here and now, the system began to scream in his mind. His eyesight was filled with red flashes of warnings. I was searching for you for more than 3,000 years, Dark Lord. You shouldn't go searching for death, Andreas. Humph. With a snicker, the ethereal form of Andreas faded into Noah's body. The very next moment, the ethereal form disappeared. Noah opened his eyes. However, his pupils were not black but shone in bright white. His white robes glimmered like they were made of white gold. Even Noah's black hair slowly changed white. It wouldn't take a genius to see that Andreas just took over Noah's body. Am not the one who searched for death, Dark Lord. The moment you chose to go against the Guardian Guild, you signed your death warrant. I'm glad we stopped you before you could start a war. Michael slightly leaned forward, but the Supreme Guardian flicked his wrist as numerous spikes made of celestial energy materialized around Michael, ready to skew his body. Don't even think about it. This ends now. Michael could feel any one of these spikes could end his life if Andreas wished. You were right about one thing though. The Guardians are indeed becoming idiots, they still haven't unmasked you yet. I want to see if you're really the devil or a traitor of the human race. An ethereal hand moved towards Michael's mask. I wouldn't do that if I were you. The hand stopped for a second. System, connect the video feed of Noah's home to the orb before me. Teleporting away from the room was one of his plans. It was plan A. However, at this moment he chose to go with plan B. The moment he saw Noah, he plotted this plan in his mind. With pleasure, Andreas noticed the orb on the table between them suddenly glowed. Soon, the glass orb started to show him a familiar place, Noah's home. The bright glow in Noah's eyes flickered. I made your entire guild piss their pants before even I came to this world. In the Dark Lord, the moment the words Dark Lord escaped his mouth, he willed the system to activate the cloud of darkness and the eyes of darkness, showing his complete Lucifer form to the Supreme Guardian. You have no idea what I'm capable of. His crimson red eyes moved away from Noah to Gina, who was lying on the ground unconsciously. The Supreme Guardian turned his neck to see Gina. Michael controlled the spiders in the room to move to Gina. He controlled the spiders telepathically to inject her with their poison. A few seconds after, at first, her body twitched. Then the Supreme Guardian saw a white form coming out of her mouth as her body started to twitch violently. The form quickly turned white to red while her eyes rolled back. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 5,000 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 4,000 badass points. Chapter 318. Look at that, they are having a family dinner. Michael evilly chuckled looking at the orb before him. Noah's eyes flickered, indicating Noah trying to take back his body. By destroying the ship, you Guardians made it personal. So what if I take something you love, Noah? For example, your little sister. Michael slowly, just very slowly moved his finger to snap. Stop, Andreas said as his shout shook the entire room. Get this through your thick skull, Andreas, you cannot stop me. I will warn you only once, back off or everyone you care about will die. You Guardians say I'm bad, trust me, I'm the worst, as he said. Michael snapped, willing the system to teleport him back to Abyssal. Michael wanted to confront him more, but he could feel the dizziness overcoming his senses due to the blood loss. Considering Andreas was a 6-star alchemist, Michael didn't dare to use APD. The Supreme Guardian would have recognized the healing potion, connecting the dots between Ghost and Lucifer. The tight armor kept the blood loss minimal, yet after a time, he had to leave the ship. It was also one of the reasons Michael left the ship without beating the crap out of the Guardians when they were unconscious. After Noah's body was overtaken by Andreas, his power skyrocketed from core formation stage 2 to fusion stage level 10. He knew he would not stand a chance fighting the Supreme Guardian with his current status. Fortunately, he had spiders in Noah's home to blackmail the Supreme Guardian. Else, Andreas wouldn't have let him leave without a fight. With a last glance at his silent reaper sinking into the sea, Michael teleported to the Abyssal. His heart felt heavy seeing his ship sink. Human. The moment Michael appeared in the darkroom, he heard the panic-stricken voice of Gaia. Azazel quickly waved his hand as the room immediately lightened up to reveal blood-soaked armor. Gaia's eyes watered up as she pulled off Michael's skull mask. His face was pale, blood trickled down from his nostrils. Everything hurt. Their head hurt, their chest hurt, their feet hurt. A sharp pain struck their chest from deep within him. He paused for a moment, taking a deep breath. Perhaps if he could shift his focus away from the pain to Gaia's face, it'd be easier to manage. He took a deep breath and shifted their focus, determined to swallow the pain and keep going. Activating the APD, he struggled onwards, only to stumble on Gaia. Ghost! She caught him as Nightmare wrapped his wings around him to steady Michael. Tears were rolling out of the dragon's eyes. Vidora walked away from Michael's bed to give him space to lie down. A sharp pain struck his chest from deep within. One hand wrapped around Gaia's shoulder while the other clasped his chest in agony. The pain subsided at times, only to flare up again and with seemingly increased intensity. It'd probably take a simple and obvious decision to either give up or keep going at this point, but that decision just didn't seem to come. It became harder and harder to swallow the pain, to ignore the sensations and the voices telling him to stop. On any other day he would have used a healing potion to heal himself, but not today. The arrow pieces inside his body stopped the healing potion from healing him. "My lady, quickly remove his armor," Azazel instructed Gaia. Nightmare helped Michael lie down on the bed. Soon the white mattress turned red in his blood. "Why aren't you using the healing potion?" She ripped off Michael's armor to see 2 wounds on his chest and 1 in his shoulder. She poured the healing potion into the wounds after taking a potion from her space ring. "You need to cough." Michael tried to inform her about the arrow pieces inside his body, yet when he tried to talk, he started to cough up blood. If it wasn't for the APD injecting him with a healing potion, he would have lost consciousness completely. Seeing the blood coming out of his mouth, her mind went blank. There's something preventing the healing potion from healing him. Since Nightmare could see the energy flow with his eyes, he noticed the energy coming from the healing potion getting sucked by something inside Michael. "Then you need to cut him open and get it out," Sarba said as the other 2 heads nodded. "Yes, cough." Michael coughed before clenching her hand tightly. "What? No, I can't." "You have to, my lady. The rest of us don't have hands like you. He's a dying bitch, do as we say." Iag jumped between Michael and Gaia to shout at Gaia. Nightmare saw a dagger materialize in Michael's hand. He picked up the dagger before handing it over to Gaia. What if he died?" Gaia sobbed. She never felt her body shiver like this before. Her brain completely stopped working as the fear of losing Michael hit her to the core. "He will if you do nothing, Kane," the blackhead said, breaking his silence. Michael quickly paid the system to light up the places in his body where the arrow pieces were stuck. Gaia was not a doctor to operate the arrow pieces out. Therefore he helped her by lighting up the arrow pieces' locations in his body. "What's happening?" She was stunned to see the skin near the wounds radiating a golden light from within. The arrow pieces, with the help of the golden light, she saw the pieces stuck inside him. As she was moving her shaking hands towards the wounds, Michael's eyes started to close. "Lord Nightmare, keep pouring the healing potion into his mouth." Azazel flicked his wrist as the healing potions Michael kept on his workbench flew directly into Nightmare's hands. Quickly the 3 heads of Vidora pulled out the corks of the healing potions. Please don't leave me," Gaia cried. The lump in her throat prevented her from speaking loudly. Gently she placed the dagger on the wound to cut. She could feel the energy pulses coming from the broken arrow pieces. In a blink of an eye she felt all kinds of emotions like sadness, grief, anger, and resentment. "Please hurry, my lady," Azazel rushed her. She wiped off the tears from her face. Finally she overcame her emotions, realizing the dire situation. Her hands stopped shaking as she made the first cut. Immediately blood splashed out from the wound. The piece of the rune on the arrow pulsated energy that kept gushing out Michael's blood. "There it is." Nightmare noticed a broken 3-inch arrow piece in the wound. It was glowing dimly. "Arg, what is that?" Iag noticed a silver tool appear in Michael's hand again. It looked like scissors in Gaia's eyes. The cut was only an inch wide. Therefore if she tried to pull out the arrow piece by hand, it would do more damage. When she saw the tool she knew how to use it. "Don't cry, cough." Michael opened his eyes with great difficulty. He couldn't even move a muscle in his body. "It'll be fine." Finally Michael let out these words with a gentle smile before closing his eyes. "I won't let you die." Gaia pulled out the broken arrow piece straight away without wasting any time. The moment the broken arrow piece exited Michael's body, the healing potion took effect. They saw the wound rapidly closing. It did not even leave a scar. Seeing the wound close up gave her the strength to move to the next wound. Almost half an hour later, Nightmare sighed a sigh of relief. All the wounds in Michael's body completely healed up. He was peacefully sleeping on the bed. With the help of Azazel, they changed the bloodied sheets in Michael's clothes. Everything in the room had been changed except for Gaia. She was staring at Michael with a bloodied face and hands. No one could tell what she was thinking. She just stared at Michael in silence. "I'll go something for you to eat," Nightmare said, hovering in front of her. "Yes." She nodded as Nightmare left the room to go collect some fruits in the dark forest. "Go make sure this place is secure," Gaia ordered Azazel, who was standing behind her. Her eyes were fixed on Michael. "As you wish, my lady." After Azazel disappeared, she looked around the room. After seeing no one in the room, she made her way towards Michael's workbench. There was a hint of resolution could be seen in her eyes like never before. She sat on the chair, taking out a parchment and a quill. Tears flowed onto the parchment while she was writing. Almost after 10 minutes, she closed the parchment. Michael was oblivious to what's happening around him as he was peacefully sleeping. He did not even notice Gaia placing a parchment beside him with the earpiece he gave her. "Goodbye, human," she gently kissed him on the forehead. Everything they went through flashed across Gaia's eyes. What she decided to do wasn't easy. Her heart bled just to think about her decision. For almost a year she had never left his side. Even when he was in the nether realm or treacherous ocean, they kept in touch through the earpiece. It never felt like they were apart. Her smile on the face contained an immense amount of sadness. After kissing him again on the forehead, she left the room. Chapter 319, Arg fuck, Michael growled, slowly opening his eyes. He had completely lost of time. Everything around him was dark. He instinctively turned his head to see if Gaia was lying beside him as usual. Except, when he turned aside, a parchment rolled out from his chest. "Gaia?" he called out for her, looking around the room. He received no response. At first he thought she went outside. However, he felt a strange void in his heart. He picked up the parchment. Azazel, before opening the parchment, he called out for his butler. In a few mere moments, the demon butler appeared before Michael. "Turn the lights on." With a wave of his hand, the demon butler lit the room. Michael opened the parchment to read. Azazel noticed Michael creasing his brows. A hint of shock and sadness emerged in his eyes. "Dear human, it's funny that after everything we went through, I never knew your real name. I think even if I know your name, I might continue to call you human because you were the first person who actually helped when I needed help the most. I can still remember the day I met you vividly. This past year is the happiest time of my life. If I were to die today, I'd happily greet death as the happiest girl in this world. You are the best thing that happened to me. When you were bleeding on the bed, I couldn't do anything. That feeling was worse than death. If I was only faster, stronger, I could have helped you." These words kept repeating in my mind. "I don't think I can ever go through something like that again. I'd rather die than hurt you, but I must do this for both our sakes. I hope you understand how difficult it is for me to make this decision to leave your side. I'm going somewhere that I should have gone a long time ago, human. I will come back to you stronger or dead. Either way, I will come back to you. Please don't come searching for me unless you want me dead. I didn't have the courage to say this to your eyes. That's why I'm leaving you with this letter. I hope you find it in your heart to forgive me. Look after Nightmare and Vidora for me. I love you and I will love you till the end of time. Gaia Ashton." "I hope the gods bless me to change Ashton to your name, human." Michael felt a lump in his throat after reading the letter. When he finished reading the last word, a drop of tears rolled out of his eyes without his control. "My lord," Azazel called out as he had no idea what's on the letter or what made Michael act this way. Her words hurt him more than the arrows did. "System. The system's level is too low to track her location without the earpiece host. Besides, there are some places in this world that trying to track her down would backfire and kill her." His heartbeat slowly raised to the point the veins in his eyes popped, making his eyes redder and redder. It became extremely hard to control his anger towards the Guardians. If it wasn't for them, she wouldn't have left him. At this moment he felt weak and helpless. He couldn't even imagine losing her, especially when he was planning to propose to her. He slowly walked towards the monitoring mirrors on the wall. One of the mirrors had no footage as it reflected Michael's body. Boom. Michael punched the mirror as it exploded into thousands of tiny pieces. His punch formed a fist-shaped hole in the wall. He did not use any spell or skill, just punched the wall with pure anger. Blood trickled out of the cuts and scratches on his fist. "My lord," Azazel immediately waved his hand as a healing potion flew from the work table to heal his wound. "What's that sound?" Nightmare flew into the room to see Michael standing in front of a broken mirror. He noticed the bloodied parchment in Ghost's hand. "Ghosty, you're awake. What happened?" Michael threw the parchment to Nightmare as he caught it with his hands in the mid-air. Nightmare opened the parchment that had dots of Michael's blood soaked in to read while hovering in the air. "What the hell?" Nightmare sighed. He noticed something was wrong after Gaia finished taking out the broken arrow pieces. She was awfully silent after Michael had been healed. Nightmare never thought she would actually decide to leave them. "Ghosty," Nightmare threw the parchment on the bed before flying to Michael's side. He put his hand on Michael's shoulder to console him. "Why did she leave?" Michael turned his gaze to look at Nightmare. "She had to." Ghosty. Nightmare's answer surprised Michael. She was powerless to do anything when you were in trouble. She was powerless to save you when you were bleeding on the bed, moments away from dying. Just imagine yourself in her shoes. Imagine what she went through. Wouldn't you go searching for something that will make you stronger so you won't feel powerless? I'm not saying leaving us was the right choice. I'm saying I don't blame her. And you shouldn't do. Michael clenched his fist again. I don't blame anyone but the Guardians, as he said. He walked towards the workbench. He clenched the table tightly. Until now, I just wanted the Guardians out of my way. Moving forward, I'll destroy everything Andreas built, piece by piece. When I'm done with the Guardians, there won't be anything left. New goal added. The moment he took a resolution to destroy the guild once and for all, he heard a system notification in his mind. Where has she gone? His anger towards Guardians quickly faded away when his eyes landed on the room's corner where his robes were hanging on the wall. His black robes brought back a sweet memory from a few days ago in front of his eyes. Few days ago, morning, Michael slowly opened his eyes. He held the bed sheets tightly as he curled under the thick quilt. When his sleepy vision cleared, he saw Gaia sitting beside him. Instead of greeting him with some snarky comments, she was fully focused on the task at hand. She wasn't even blinking as her tongue stuck out above her cherry upper lip, almost brushing the tip of her nose. The moment he saw what's in her hand, his sleepiness instantly disappeared. Hey, what the hell are you doing to my clothes? He threw the quilt aside to stand up. What does it look like? She said without taking her eyes from Michael's long black trench coat. I'm putting on embroidery. It's gonna look so cool when I'm done. Michael craned his neck to see his trench coat. There was an unknown shape that looked like a baby of a circle and a square. What is that? A kidney or something? Wait, that looks like a circle with a stick in it. Only then she took her gaze away from his trench coat. She turned her murderous gaze at him. It's A.G. you blind asshole. Ha-G? Who taught you embodiment? Michael burst into laughter, making her madder and madder. She would look extremely cute when she's mad. He couldn't help pinching her soft cheeks while wrapping her with his arms. There was the hug of gentle arms that still gives the space to breathe. Then there was the hug of strong arms that tells everything, your body, brain, and soul, that they are with you. She loved both. The duvets and the human shields each had their time. The way he hugged her at the moment was a hybrid of both hugs. His embrace was strong yet gentle, filled with love and care. She was unable to stay mad at him under his passionate hug. G for Ghost or Gaia? Just like in our cards, G for Ghost for others, but it really stands for Gaia. This way, she lifted his trench coat to show him her rather unique-looking G. I'll always be closer to your heart. I prefer the real thing. His hug tightened as he smooched her cheek before landing a soft kiss on her soft, rosy cheek. Did you put this embroidery on your clothes? She bit her tongue, slowly wiggling herself out of his embrace. She went to the edge of the bed. He saw a foxy smile emerge on her face. I didn't want to spoil my clothes. She quickly started to run after saying these words. I knew it'd stop. Their laughter reverberated the walls of the abyssal. Their happiness lit up this dark place. Michael put on his clothes to leave Abyssal. This place never felt like home without Gaia around. He gently tapped the embodiment on his chest, reminiscing the moments with her in his mind. In the letter, she said take care of me and Vidroa, but I saw Vidora with her when she was flying away. Nightmare said, you saw her leave? Michael frowned. Yeah, I thought she's going to the sect. At least someone's with her. Michael sighed and relaxed. I trust her, she will come back to me. Finally Nightmare saw his usual smile appear on his face. Nightmare was really afraid of Michael going on a rampage or going into a self-destruct mood. But after seeing his smile, he felt like an immense amount of pressure was being lifted off of his shoulder. Come on, we have a tournament to win. Chapter 320, Keep monitoring Azazel, especially that house. I will contact you the moment if I find something amiss, Lord Lucifer. Azazel bowed his head. Where are Arya and Dalar? They are both cultivating in their rooms, Lord Lucifer. Do you wish to see them? Michael shook his head. No need. Nightmare, let's go. He willed the system to activate the runic teleportation. In a few seconds, the space before them twisted as they felt the familiar sensation of being teleported. I never get used to this feeling. Nightmare shook his head to calm down his nerves. After being teleported, he felt like he was about to throw up. Fortunately, he learned to control this nasty sensation. Since Gaia destroyed their home, Michael had to leave a rune on a large oak tree near the construction site where his home used to be. There was no one working at the construction site as it seemed like early morning. The usual golden rays of sun on the horizon were nowhere to be seen. It was a chilly, cloudy morning. On this cloudy morning, there were growing patches of blue, the sort of hue that was soft and bright at the same time. Though beneath the sheet of cloud was a gray that deepens to steel, the leading edge is a brilliant white, as if it were the pages of a new book ready for any curious eye. So, on this day that could bring rain or sunshine, he hoped for heavy rain because rain plus hot coffee always calmed his soul. In the sky, the clouds were arranged as neatly as child's toys, scattered over blue, content to drift where they fell. The morning sun had the potential to bring a day as hot as yesterday, but those wonderful puffs of white radiated it back out into space. The air was cooler, the colors less vivid, and all without a drop of rain. Nightmare shrunk his size just enough to comfortably sit on Michael's shoulder like a bird. He wrapped his tail around Michael's neck for extra hold as well as comfort. Walking out of the forest, he made his way to Claire's home. "Good morning, Brother Ghost." "Good morning, Nightmare." Michael's home was located near a green lush forest at the far end of the sect. It was rather a solitary place, just like Michael's preference. Plus, it was built on a small hill, so he had to walk the stairs to reach Claire's mansion. While climbing down the hill, he met several disciples in black uniform who greeted them with the utmost respect in their eyes. Besides the disciples, the hill, the surrounding areas, and the staircase were filled with flagpoles. They hadn't hoisted the flags yet, but it seemed like the disciples were planning a huge celebration before the tournament. "Good morning," Michael greeted them back with a small smile. He could see they were looking around him for Gaia, as she was always used to being near him. "Brother Ghost, we are betting on you to win. The whole sect will be there. Make us proud, Brother Ghost." The disciples were extremely excited. They were brimming with smiles. Michael just nodded to their requests along the way to Claire's mansion. After reaching the most populated area of their sect where the most buildings were, in addition to a long line of carriages hooked to 2 to 4 horses, he saw several fancy carriages with Pegasi in front. 1, 2, 3, and he saw Ricky in the distance counting the carriages one by one. He had parchment and a quill in his hand as he marked something on the parchment every time he counted a carriage. Young Master Ghost, look, it's a dragon. Such a majestic creature. Greetings, young Master Ghost." Along the way to Ricky, Michael was greeted by several men of various ages. They were the owners or the drivers of the carriages. They all bowed their heads slightly to show their respect to the youngest 5-star alchemist of Elon. "Oh, Master Ghost, welcome back." Ricky stopped counting the carriages to greet Michael. "What's going on here?" Michael asked. "Sect leader Claire hired these carriages for the disciples and the elders, Master Ghost. We are all coming to witness you and Sister Elia kick ass and take the championships." As Ricky speaks with excitement, his eyes searched behind Michael to locate Gaia. "Is everyone coming to Royal Land?" "You betcha, Master Ghost." "Oh," Ricky seemed like he had a sudden realization. "Lord Christopher is staying behind, I think. Where is Daniel?" "With Lady Raylene. Today they are starting to cultivate the lands near River Town." Ricky's eyes sparkled in delight as he was born in River Town. If the River Town was getting developed into a bustling city, his family would have an even better life. With the salary he was getting from Ghost, Ricky's family had already become one of the wealthiest families in the River Town. Ricky was not a selfish person. Hence, he wanted the entire River Town to become a rich city. "Carry on." Michael gave a pat on his back before resuming his journey to Claire's manor. "See you later, Nightmare." "You too, Ricky." Nightmare waved his hand while lying on Michael's shoulder. The duo continued to get greetings from the carriage's drivers and owners. When Michael came to Claire's manor, he saw several youngsters in rather raggedy clothes waiting in line before Claire's manor. "Hey, look, it's Ghost." "Shoot, don't let him hear you." "Yeah, call him Brother Ghost like the others." It didn't take a genius to see they were waiting to join the sect. They were pretty nervous. "Welcome to the Sunrise Sect, my fellow brothers and sisters." A few words from Michael made them shudder in shock. Soon, their nervousness transformed into unending delight. Their eyes sparkled. Although he knew Claire was interviewing them, he wanted these poor kids to relax, as Claire never rejected anyone. If Michael was not a genius in alchemy, he would have urged them to come up with a screening process to filter the youngsters according to their talent. Since was a genius, he could provide them with potions and pills to make any mediocre youngster a genius. At the moment, the sect needed numbers the most if they were to become the best and the biggest in Elon. Moreover, they never expected a famous legend like him to actually talk to them instead of ignoring them. Most of their families spent fearing the nobles while developing an inferiority complex. Therefore, when he talked to them, many couldn't believe what was happening as their minds went blank. "We'll talk later." Again, welcome to the Sunrise Sect. Michael patted a few youngsters who were standing in front of their shoulders. He then walked into Claire's manor, leaving the youngsters flabbergasted with his presence. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 200 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 300 badass points. Just interacting with the newbies provided him with almost 3,000 badass points. He didn't talk to them for badass points, he did because that felt right at the moment. Entering Claire's manor, he made his way to the hall where he saw Elder Sandra and Elder Reiner conducting the interview. Elder Sandra nodded when she saw him while Elder Reiner waved at him with a wide grin on his face. The young girl who was being interviewed kept staring at him with her mouth wide open. In her eyes, he was the most handsome guy she had ever seen. Sect leader Claire is in the West study room. Thank you. Elder Michael didn't linger around to raise the young girl's heartbeat. Go straight and take the next right. Nightmare guided Michael to the study room. This mansion of Claire had a total of 8 rooms, not including the 2 rooms for the indoor garden. Nightmare spent most of his time with Claire when he was not with Michael. Therefore he knew the house like the back of his hand. Through the brightly lit corridor, he reached the study room to be welcomed by a rather odd-looking room. In his mind, after hearing the word study room, he imagined the room to have dull-looking paint, several book racks filled with books, scrolls as well as large tables. At that moment he felt like he entered the Barbie world. The walls were painted with a subtle pink paint that was neither too bright nor too dull. There was a single bed on the corner with 2 4-feet flower vases on each side. In the center of the room he saw a round table. Even the book racks were painted in pinkish color. Several books were neatly stacked on top of each other on the table. Claire was reading a book while Olivia was writing something on a parchment. Teacher Olivia was the first to notice Michael standing in the doorway. Is this a study room or a girl's room? Michael dragged a chair before sitting backward on the chair. Seeing Claire, Nightmare bounced off from his shoulder to Claire's shoulder. He nudged his head against Claire's cheek, giving her wet kisses. Hi, little guy. Claire stopped reading the book to play with Nightmare. Asked Claire. She was the one sleeping here instead of her room. Olivia giggled. Where is your other half, teacher? In her jolly mood, Olivia asked. She pretended like she's searching around Michael. She's gone. The joyful smile on Olivia's face instantly disappeared after hearing him. Not gone, she went to take care of something important to her. Without you? Claire frowned. Claire knew the bond between the two of them. They were like joined in the hips, inseparable. Even when Elia was not with him, she would always talk about him and the fun they had together. Claire couldn't even remember the last time Elia talked about something that didn't involve Ghost. Just a few days ago, Elia even asked questions related to engagement to her and Raylene. Suddenly hearing her leaving Michael stunned Claire. Claire couldn't care less if Elia was unable to compete in the tournament, she just didn't want the two of them to break their wonderful relationship. Chapter 321, Is everything alright between you two? Claire asked. He could see the worry in her eyes. A year ago he was the #1 assassin in the world, he had no one to worry about him. Although this world put him through various life-threatening rides on a daily basis, it also gave him people like Claire who genuinely cared about him. Yeah, Claire knew Michael enough to see the sorrow behind his calm eyes. If you want to talk about anything, we are here for you, Ghost. What are you talking about? Teacher looks fine to me. Seeing the worried look on Claire's face, Olivia questioned her. In her eyes, there was nothing amiss with Ghost. Have you ever been in love, Olivia? Claire's question caught Olivia off guard. She folded her arms, creasing her brows. No. Why do you ask? When you're in love, your eyes speak just as loud as your mouth. It's a language you might not learn in your life, he, Claire giggled. Hey. Olivia pouted. She threw a quill at Claire, but Nightmare caught the quill with his mouth before it could hit Claire. The two girls almost forgot their status and started to play like little girls. See, I have a little guardian angel here. Claire kissed Nightmare on his forehead. Secretary Leader Claire, when are you guys leaving the sect? Michael's question put a stop to their childish play. Claire quickly regained her sect leader composure. In the evening. We'll travel to Sarton by carriages, and from there, we'll take the ships to Royal Land. It's an easier, safer and far shorter journey than traveling by road. Cool. So Olivia, how are your studies going on? He dragged the chair towards their study table. I finished the work you gave me, teacher. With a flick of her wrist, she filled the large table with parchments. Since Michael needed to take his mind off Guardians and Gaia, he decided to spend the time until they leave for Royal with Olivia. Let's stop theory stuff and move on to the practicals. Take out your cauldron out. Her face immediately lit up like someone lit a candle in her head. In a blink of an eye, a dark violet cauldron appeared on the table. On its surface, several silver runes could be seen. In addition to the runes, There were etchings of various shapes such as flowers, plants, Olivia's name as well as a lion's head. Teacher, would I be able to make pills and potions like you? I mean without the cauldron. If Olivia asked the same question a few months ago when she started to learn from him, he would have really laughed it off. However, after all this time studying under him, he noticed the jump in her talent. At first, she was only able to make pills and potions with 50% purity. Now she could touch the 57% purity mark. Although he became a 5-star alchemist in a few moments, after making almost thousands of pills and potions, he knew how hard it is to get the 7% leap in a short amount of time. However, this was not the time for her to learn his technique. First, she needed to become his subordinate who has more than 95% loyalty. Only then, Michael would think about teaching her how to control the alchemy flames like him. That's too dangerous. A simple mistake and you'll be served rare. Claire couldn't help chuckling. Olivia stuck her tongue out at Claire but she didn't argue with Michael. She understood him completely. Whoa, before you guys play with fire, I'll take my books and leave this place. Claire quickly collected her books. I don't want to be. Well done. Claire winked at Olivia as she rolled her eyes. That's terrible. After Claire left the study room with Nightmare, Michael began to teach Olivia how to use the cauldron to its maximum potential. As the oat field encountered a peach sky, the evening had come in stately fashion, with all the grace of a breeze in repose. In that welcome amber glow the time of slower thoughts had arrived. Those moments when with open eyes, Michael's mind became as a perfect empty horizon, seeing, yet content to sit. He felt the soothing breeze birthed by the surrounding foliage, became absorbed in the music of crickets, letting the gentle energy of nature wash in. He watched the disciples getting in the carriages from the mountain peak, his usual place to meditate. His black trench coat fluttered in the wind while his turtleneck gave him a unique charm. Unlike before, he wore the dual sword sheath on his back. At the moment it was empty. He willed the system to retrieve the space ring given to him at the house cane. It's time for you two to come out. The space ring let out a faint whistling sound before two beautifully forged swords appeared in Michael's hand. The two swords had a blade of a gray color, with a pattern made of swirls and triangles engraved on it. The blade itself was engraved. A line of text Ghost was engraved on the blades, which only added to the elegance of this weapon as well as its cost. Each blade had a small, straight crossguard, just large enough to make sure his fingers were safe and the blade would remain firmly in your hands. The crossguard had an intricate skull on each side. He knew the cost of this weapon must have been high. In addition to the crossguard, a fairly small pommel was engraved with the symbol of its owner, again a skull. The two swords belonged to the rare weapon class, which meant they could have 3 runes. At the moment, there were no runes on the sword, but if Michael wanted, he could find a rune master to place runes on the swords. The system level was too low to place runes on the swords via the system. Swing, swing. Michael tossed the sword in the air as they both dramatically flew down straight into his sheaths. That was cool, even the system was impressive. He reached sword mastery to the point the swords felt like they were part of him. I know, with a swift leap he jumped off from the cliff. In the mid-air he activated the lightning dash to fly towards the sect. Within a few blinks of an eye, he came to the pathway where the carriages were waiting to depart. The disciples were entering the carriages one by one without causing a ruckus. Many among the disciples painted their faces to resemble a skull, while many female disciples had the letter G written on their faces using a black dye. The moment they saw Michael land at the pathway's start, they started to cheer, screaming his name out loud. Ghost! 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 Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 200 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 300 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 600 badass points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 700 badass points. Michael was overwhelmed by their support. It was as he was a famous sportsman who entered the arena filled with his die-hard fans. Cast a spell. Someone among the disciples had the courage to shout out for a spell. Cast a spell. Cast a spell. Soon they all started to demand in unison. What the heck, Ignitia? Michael raised his 2 hands clasping towards the sky. With an electric noise, the golden cracks of lightning danced around his entire arm before shooting to the sky as a thick bolt of lightning. The light produced by the lightning bolt brightened up the pathway. It was like a beacon, screaming Michael's location. The badass points rained as he almost earned yet another 6,000 points by just casting a spell. It was cool to show off, but he didn't want to waste his energy before the tournament. Therefore, with a swift jump he leaped into the air. Ricky was waiting for Michael near the last carriage in the line. His carriage was hooked to 4 horses. As Michael preferred, Ricky chose the fanciest and the most comfortable carriage in Bradford. It cost him extra 60 gold coins to paint it in black. "Master Ghost, shall we go?" Ricky asked. Even Ricky painted his face to resemble a skull so he could show his support to Ghost. Ricky would have painted an A for Elia on his forehead if Claire didn't announce that Elia is not participating in the tournament for personal reasons. "Where's Nightmare?" "Oh, he's traveling with sect leader Claire, Olivia and little Cindy." "Cool." Michael didn't mind Nightmare travel with them. He loved the silence anyways. Michael opened up the carriage to see red cushioned seats with a small graceful round table in the middle for Michael to dine on. An elegant cup and soccer set was on the table with a pot full of coffee made by Raylene herself. Coupled with the carriage's lavender scent and the coffee fragrance, the carriage put a smile on his face. "Do you like it, Master Ghost?" Ricky was slightly nervous, but when Michael nodded with a smile, he felt relieved. "Let's go." Chapter 322. The forest they were traveling through was gigantic, thick, and thriving. Its canopy was rained by crabapple, ash, and rhododendron. Enough light shimmered through their crowns for a medley of herbs to take advantage of the rich grounds below. Curling creepers suspended from many trees, and a potpourri of flowers, which blossomed brightly, adorned the otherwise amber terrain. A clamor of wild noises, most of which were fleeing animals, filled the air and drowned out the occasional sounds of birds of prey gliding in the air. Inside the carriages, Michael was calmly sipping his coffee. "Where are you, Snake?" He missed Gaia so much as he was checking the seat beside him for her. The scenery outside would have been even more beautiful if she was with him. "So Master Ghost, since Miss Elia is not competing, who do you think would win the championship for the body strengthening stage?" Ricky asked from the driver's seat. "Well, I don't know many prodigies in the body strengthening stage except for Evan, Victoria and Sabrina. If you have to bet on one of them, who would be your choice, Master Ghost?" "Definitely not that bitch Victoria." "Ha, bad blood, huh, Master Ghost," Ricky laughed. It felt like it was yesterday Michael Spartan kicked Victoria off the stage. Within a year of time, he had gone from a lowly foundation stage cultivator to core formation stage warrior. If it wasn't for the tournament's rule for not letting anyone above the core formation stage participate, he would have a breakthrough to the core strengthening stage. Compared to the badass points he could earn fighting the tournament, reaching the next stage wasn't just as important for the time being. "Master Ghost, I heard the princess and the king of Breedia coming to watch the tournament." Michael could feel the excitement in his heart through his voice. "Princess, huh?" To be honest, even Michael felt a little curious to see a princess in real life. It was hard to believe Gaia is a princess, as she was the last person one would expect to be a princess. She was a rather unique girl compared to many in this world. She would do whatever she likes, speak whatever she wants, and more than anything, she helped him instead of being a trouble magnet. "Have you ever met a princess before, Master Ghost?" "Kind of." Michael couldn't help imagining Gaia in a pink Barbie princess dress with a star wand in her eyes. He chuckled inside. "I haven't." "Is it true that princesses eat gold shavings to enrich their hair and their hair is worth a ton of coins? Are there any princesses without golden hair?" Ricky barraged Michael with questions that sounded ridiculous, yet Michael enjoyed their little chat until something showed up in his environmental scanning map. "I'm pretty sure there are princesses with a hair color other than golden, Ricky. Will their hair go for a ton of coins? Do you have a hair fetish or something?" Ricky scratched the back of his hand with an embarrassed look on his face. They continued to ride through the dark forest. He gazed at the starry sky through the windows. The bright friends of the moon and their pattern that seems so fixed yet ever-changing, distant lights to call his heart, to remind him of the conversation he had with Gaia. "On, why are you up?" Michael yawned, opening his eyes to see Gaia staring at the night sky. They were camping out on the mountain peak as they felt like sleeping under the sky. "I was wondering how many stars are there." She was sitting on the ground while her hands wrapped around her knees. "Are you really asking me that in the middle of the night?" "Just come here." Michael pulled her down by her waist with one swoop. "You know, if we ever leave each other's side for some reason, we can look at the moon and know that the other is looking at the same moon." Well, look who's being romantic." Michael showered her with kisses all over her face. She enjoyed kissing every inch of her velvety soft face. He nibbled her ear while tickling her by running his hair gently through the side of her chest. It took extreme control not to do anything spicy. He respected her wish not to engage in anything other than kissing until marriage. "Hey, that tickles." Stop." She wiggled to escape his hold. She tried to retaliate by trying to tickle him back, yet he simply overpowered her. Soon, their playful laughter reverberated the lonely mountain peak. Master Ghost, what do you think? In his moment of walking through the memory lane, he completely ignored Ricky's questions. What did you ask again? 3 guardians said that Mark was their brother. Mark said he had no brothers. Who was lying? Who asked? Michael asked while still keeping an eye on the figures in the environmental scanning map. They were following the carriages for some time. The question in his mind was whether they were particularly following him or not. Cindy. I don't know where she's getting these questions from. She keeps coming up with questions none of us can answer. I really wonder if there is an answer to each question. There is. Michael retrieved a drone from the system storage while Ricky was busy trying to figure out an answer to Cindy's question. The drone flew through the window, disappearing into the dark forest. Really? Come on, tell me, Master Ghost, it's time for payback, Ricky devilishly laughed. However, Michael did not tell him the answer as Ricky was expecting. Master Ghost, what are you doing? Ricky turned back to see Michael opening the carriage door through the small hole before him and Michael. Just some sightseeing. Don't stop, he'll be back soon. Michael flew out of the carriage in the direction of the figures following him. I'm getting bored, let's start killing them all. A feminine voice could be heard from the dark forest. The voice was filled with murderous intent. Control your bloodlust, Reaper. We must not alert the target, not until we cut his throat. Another murderous voice sounded. This time it was a male voice. Dibs on the ladies, another voice filled with lust spoke. The 3 figures blended perfectly with the forest. The black clothes they were wearing helped them merge with the darkness. They flew neither too fast nor slow, but just enough pace to follow the carriages without alerting any of the sect members. If one looked closer into their eyes, a dim glow could be seen in their eyes. The figures took the cat potion to enable their eyes to see in darkness. If you're calling dibs on the ladies, I call dibs on the target. I heard he's quite the eye-catcher. Oh, not that again. You take too long and scream loud enough to wake the entire city, one of the male voices complained. It's a moan, you idiot. No, it's not. Silence, you too. Everyone stopped talking. Soon they started to hear rustling sounds coming from ahead of them. They stopped flying immediately. I bet it's a wild cat or something, the female figure said. Magical beast perhaps. There are no magical beasts in this part of the forest. The rustling sound became louder and louder. They frantically looked around them to locate the source of the sound. It sounded like it's coming from all directions at the same time. But suddenly the rustling sound stopped. Diddle, diddle, the figures heard a voice as they all looked in the direction of the voice coming to see their target walking towards them. To their shock, their target had a smile on his face. Ghost, the female figure unsheathed her daggers from her waist. She then slowly licked the dagger like it was a candy bar. We are so little. A couple of pop sounds came out from Michael's neck when he cracked his neck. Isn't this face-to-face better than following me from a distance? Because of the wolf masks they were wearing, Michael couldn't see the surprised look on their faces. You guys aren't bad. It's just I'm better, in fact, I'm the best at what you do. His words immediately kindled the killing intent hidden within the figures. They gradually formed a triangle around Michael. The 2 male figures stood before Michael while the female stood behind him. Now I see why someone put a $500,000 contract on your head. You have the knack to piss off wrong people, one of the male figures spoke. $500,000, you say, not bad. Is there by any chance you 3 know the name of the person who put a contract on my head? I'm gonna enjoy every second of killing you. Michael heard the woman's voice coming from behind. She was moaning. No idea who put the contract, huh? Michael sighed. It was disappointing but not unexpected. They were just tools sent by the Grim Reaper's guild to kill him. The assassins wouldn't know the one who gave the task to the guild. Only the higher-ups of the guild would know that information. Unfortunately, Michael had no chance of getting that information as the Grim Reapers were a powerful guild operating in shadows, just like the dark underworld he worked back on Earth. First you Reapers destroyed a shipment of mine, now coming to kill me. I'm really starting to get pissed. Humph, what are you gonna do? Kill us? You don't even stand a chance. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 323, You picked a nighttime to kill me, good choice. Michael slowly walked forwards with his hands behind. The Grim Reapers were in no rush to kill him. It seemed like they wanted to kill him slowly, especially the woman behind Michael. Reduced visibility, darkness will help you blend and your spells would draw less attention. Michael listed some of the pros of choosing nighttime to assassinate someone in this forest. But Michael stopped walking for a moment. You guys made a mistake. And what is that? The woman asked. She started to breathe more and more heavily. For a few moments Michael didn't answer. He just let the silence envelop the place. You failed to study whether your advantage would also be your targets. The cat's eye potion would enable the drinkers to see in the night, yet it wouldn't be like natural vision. Hence, the three assassins failed to notice the changes in the surroundings. As far as they were concerned, the night couldn't get any darker. But it did when Michael cast the death range. Alright, I can't oh my god. Can't wait any longer. Suddenly her moans echoed through the forest out loud. She directly lunged at Michael. Love shackles in the midair, she cast a spell as pink giant shackles materialized in the sky above Michael. Frost rage, illusion lava, Michael's surroundings suddenly changed. The dark forest transformed into a fiery hot lava. He felt like he had been teleported into a boiling volcano. In addition to the illusions, several humanoid creatures made of frosty ice appeared around him in a 5-meter radius. If they weren't only at core strengthening stage level 2, Michael wouldn't have decided to face them head-on. Lightning dash, he dashed away before the shackles could land on him. Just while he was dashing away, he pinpointed the illusionary formation source point. The source was on the ground, under the dried-out leaves beside the Grim Reaper who cast the spell. Ignitia, the lightning bolt hit the source point with deadly accuracy. Immediately his surroundings transformed back to normal. When the formation got destroyed, it backlashed as a burst of arch energy stunned the spellcaster. The Grim Reaper was momentarily stunned. Watch out! The Grim Reaper who cast a spell to create frost creatures shouted. Ignitia, Michael quickly dashed behind the Grim Reaper. Without wasting a second of time, he sent a bolt of lightning through the Grim Reaper's heart. Because he was a core strengthening stage cultivator, it did not one-shot him. Michael wasn't expecting the lightning bolt to kill him with one shot. That was why he immediately stabbed the cultivator through the wound created by the lightning bolt pulch. Wolf! The male Grim Reaper shouted when he saw Michael's sword sticking out of his colleague's chest. Michael twisted the sword, ending his life. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing a core strengthening stage, level 2 cultivator. The reward is 300,000 experience points and 2,000 badass points. That's so hot. The female Reaper, however, did not seem to care about her colleague's demise. She just knelt on the ground, moaning loudly. Woman, you're a fucking freak. Michael drew back his sword. He was glad that her climax slowed her down from casting another spell. Kill him. The frosty figures moved slowly, but they were able to reach Michael since he stopped moving to kill the Grim Reaper. Ring of Fire. What was better to fight a bunch of humanoid creatures made of ice than flaming hot fire? Whoosh, whoosh. The Ring of Fire sent 2 pulse blasts around Michael, burning everything it passed through. The ice figures did not completely evaporate, but their legs melted down. Another 2 pulses of the fire melted their upper body before they could reach Michael. Lightning dash, ice drag dash, boom. Michael dashed at the Grim Reaper to end his life before he could cast another spell. The Grim Reaper was just about to finish his spell when he saw Michael lunge at him. His lightning-fast reflexes kicked in as he immediately retrieved a smoke bomb from his space ring and dropped it into the ground. The smoke bomb exploded, creating a fog of smoke around the Grim Reaper. It was a neat tactic that might have worked if Michael didn't have his X-ray vision and environmental scanning. Ignitia, ignitia, ignitia. The Grim Reaper did not stop moving as he kept running to escape the lightning bolts. The assassin had no time to cast a spell. He was expecting help from his colleague, but she was shaking on the ground. Sucker, Michael chuckled inside. The male Grim Reaper thought Michael was attacking him to kill, while the female cultivator was having a great time thinking that her target was busy with her colleague. Michael suddenly changed his target as he dashed at the female cultivator. While she was quivering on the ground, he tried to cut her neck. Unfortunately, she was quick enough to evade a fatal bow, yet the sword did cut her shoulder. Slash. You wanna play? The female Reaper slowly stood up from the ground. Her legs were still shaking while her eyes radiated intense pleasure. 2 versus 1, you're dead. The male Grim Reaper sighed in relief seeing his colleague finally entering the battle. He picked up a strange smell, but he didn't focus too much on the smell as he thought it's coming from the forest. TSK, TSK, TSK. You clowns should have gotten a job in a circus instead of an assassin guild. Now that's hurtful. Finally, the female Reaper's voice showed some murderous intent instead of freaky moaning intent. 4, 3. The 2 cultivators were confused when they heard Michael start counting. 2, 1, I'm gonna cough. Ah, what's happening? Just after taking a few steps towards Michael, the female Reaper started to cough. Behind the masks, their faces slowly turned pale. Their bodies shivered, not in pleasure, their bodies shivered in fear. The female Grim Reaper couldn't feel her muscles. It was because Michael smeared paralyzing poison on his swords. He really aimed for her throat to kill her instantly, but as usual, he wanted to have a backup plan if she evaded his attack. His backup plan worked. The fear toxin finally showed its effect. The Grim Reaper's deepest fears took hold of their minds. Michael clapped his hands together towards the female Grim Reaper. Golden lightning cracks danced around Michael's hands. The sound of electricity crackles became louder and louder while the light radiated by the lightning cracks was so bright that it looked like someone put a light in the middle of them. Boom. Michael used half of his arch energy to power up the lightning bolt. The thick bolt of lightning soared through the air. When the lightning bolt met its target, it didn't go through her but destroyed half of her body. She stood there bloodied, half of her body was gone, blood splashed from her body while skin slowly peeled off of her. Even the bones were charred as they were visible to the naked eyes. She clung to her life but she was not in shape to fight. Finally she fell to the ground. What happened to her didn't horrify the other Reaper as he had seen gory things like this in the past. But what terrified him more other than the fear toxin in his body was the fact that his colleagues were murdered by Core Formation Stage Warrior. They planned everything perfectly yet nothing went according to the plan from the beginning. To this moment they had no idea how he found them, how he was this strong and fast, what was the sudden fear they felt. Chameleon attack. While the female Reaper was twitching in the ground, the other one screamed looking into the dark forest behind Michael. Any moment from now, the Grim Reaper expects their fourth member, also known as their Plan B, jump out of the darkness to plunge a dagger into their target's chest from behind. His name was Chameleon, huh? The Grim Reaper's heart skipped a beat. He mumbled. It was taking everything in him to fight off the sudden fear in his heart. Hence, he hoped Chameleon would kill Michael, ending their battle. I killed him. The moment Michael completed his diddle-diddle, Chameleon lost his life due to blood loss. When Michael first noticed he was being followed, he saw not 3 but 4 hostiles in his environmental scanning map. The fourth one, however, did not travel with the 3 of them. He traveled alone, keeping his distance from the trio. Since he was alone, Michael took care of him first by stealth killing him. The Chameleon was completely caught off guard. Michael quickly stabbed his throat a couple of times to silence him first, then he broke Chameleon's neck using his full strength, which was boosted by death range. The Grim Reaper saw a bloodied lizard mask appear in Ghost's hand. Although it was bloody, he was sure that the mask belonged to the Chameleon. Michael threw the bloody mask near the bloody corpse of the female Grim Reaper. Ignitia. Michael knew the lightning bolt would hit its target without a problem because the Grim Reaper's courage to fight was broken. The fear toxin was still affecting his mind, and the sight of his 3 dead colleagues ripped off any fighting spirit he had left in his heart. Even if the Grim Reaper tried to escape, Michael could take his full Lucifer form, which would boost his power to core strengthening stage level 4 and kill him. Ignitia. Lightning dash. He fired another bolt of lightning after the first one hit. The very next moment he activated the lightning dash to close the distance between them. The Grim Reaper's instincts made him conjure another defensive spell, but the distance was too short and Michael was too fast. He closed the gap between them before plunging his sword straight into the Grim Reaper's throat. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a core strengthening stage, level 2 cultivator. The reward is 300,000 experience points and 3,000 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a core strengthening stage, level 2 cultivator. The reward is 300,000 experience points and 3,000 badass points. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 324. Whoa, Ricky felt a sudden bump while driving the carriage. He heard the carriage door opening. Turning his head, he saw Ghost entering the carriage. Master Ghost, how's your sightseeing? Ricky was not a genius, but he was not stupid either. It was obvious to him that Ghost went to take care of something important. As for what, Ricky didn't want to know. However, Ricky smelled a sweet scent that was neither too strong nor too light. It was just enough for Ricky to take a deep breath and smile. Besides, when Ricky turned back to look at Ghost, in the light produced by the small orb of light inside the carriage, Ghost seemed refreshed as he had just taken a bath. Michael willed the system to equip his nightdress, which was gray sweatpants and a black tank top. It was pleasant until I had to kill a few rats. Michael laid down on the cushion. After spending almost all of his arch energy, he was pretty tired. Wake me up when we reach Sarton. Michael closed his eyes. Yes, Master Ghost. The curtains inside the carriage added an orange glow to the morning light, every morning a perfect sunrise. It somehow reminded Michael of the times he slept in a beach hut, watching the ocean emerge under the golden shimmer. For a moment his mind conjured the rhythmic waves, soft on the sandy shore, and felt his heartbeat at the same slow pace. He breathed in deeply. A new day has begun. He reached his hand out to the fabric, noticing how up close the light pours through every open space between fibers, no different from how it once came through the beach hut walls, illuminating like brilliant fireflies each dawn. The material was warm beneath his fingers, and when the sun flooded the carriage, painting the colors anew, he felt a little of those golden rays soak into his skin. Good morning, Snakey. After greeting her instinctively, he slowly opened his eyes, realizing she's not with him. The beautiful morning never seemed beautiful without her. Letting out a sigh, he stood up. After stretching his arms out, he put on a black shirt on top of his black top before getting out of the carriage. In his sect home, he would hear the chirping of birds in the morning. At this moment he heard no birds sound but constant chatter of people as well as horses galloping. He opened up the carriage door to be welcomed by the city by the lake, Sarton. Cast on the highest point of Marilla Lake, Sarton was a city of foreign trade. This city wasn't built by a lake by accident, as it had hidden secrets, which were of great importance to the people of Sarton and its success. The city itself looked sublime. With its yew-wood rooftops, ceramic tile walls, and breathtaking waterfall, Sarton had a mystical atmosphere. The main attraction was the giant statue of a Viking-looking man in the center of the city, which was built 1,000 years ago and designed by the dwarves. Sarton had a booming economy, which was mainly supported by trade, mining, and leatherworking. Their biggest strengths were a strong defense and gorgeous leatherworking. However, Sarton lacked people skilled in farming. Despite its strengths and weaknesses, Sarton was most likely headed towards a horrible future under the leadership of Baron Adwell. But this was yet to be seen. Instead of his usual black shoes, he just wore a pair of black slippers. Therefore, when he stepped outside, he felt the hot sand between his toes. As far as he could see, there was nothing but people and carriages. More and more carriages were approaching where he was. No one noticed Michael as he walked around the carriage to locate the people of his sect. What stood in front of him was a beautiful lake. The water was movie star blue, the kind of blue their eyes are. In it, the wisps of clouds were reflected just as well as the steep sides of the glacial valley, all greens and grays. Again the greens of the hills as well as the buildings. The grown-ups were boarding ships while youngsters and children were playing on the shore as if in the most impossible of paintings, the artist painting with colors he thought would fade in time but never did. The lake was the finest of mirrors, never showing exactly what was above, but converting it to an image so beautifully smudged and broken. The weeping willow, the clouds above, all become a Monet, all free for the looking. If he focused on the children he could get various designs for a castle. Their sand castles looked way better than some real castles in this world. One of those children was Cindy. She was building a tall majestic castle with a couple of female disciples. Even among the ocean of people standing between the two of them, Cindy noticed Michael. Brother. Her eyes widened in joy as Michael gestured to Cindy to stay where she was. Michael quickly navigated through the crowd to reach Cindy. Since he was not in his usual attire and the people were busy with boarding ships, they failed to notice Michael. Here she is, as usual. The little girl threw herself up at him like a puppy who hasn't seen its owner for quite some time. Every single time the girl welcomed Michael like this. The love she had for Michael in her heart was boundless. Gaia, Michael both loved Cindy and her brother just as Cindy loved them. Brother Ghost, you're awake. Ricky just went to see your room on the ship. He was talking about waking you up. It's okay, Michael said to the girls. He knew Ricky might be too busy making sure everything's according to Michael's preference. Since Daniel was with Raylene at Rivertown, most of the tasks related to sect fell on Ricky's shoulder. I think you guys had enough fun, take your friends and go to your ships. Michael saw what the human traffickers did to those Silvermoon girls. In this crowd, no one recognized a well-known person like Michael. How could anyone notice if a few girls like them went missing? Therefore, Michael ordered them to board the ships as soon as possible. This place seemed like a great hunting ground for kidnappers. All right, let's go. The girls didn't dare to stay any longer after hearing Michael. They left to find their friends. Michael noticed hundreds of ships floating on the lake, waiting for the people to board. When will Sister Elia come back? I miss her, Cindy purred. Me too, Michael pinched Cindy's cheek. She had grown up a couple of inches. The baby fat in her face slowly disappeared. Plus, she had reached foundation stage level 7. Cindy turned his head gently before landing a soft kiss on his cheek. Ouch, you have to shave, brother. Cindy rubbed her lips as his stubble beard pricked her soft lips. Is that so? Michael rubbed his cheek against the little girl's cheek playfully. She wiggled, giggling in his arm. While he was playing with Cindy, he felt someone tickling his shirt. He looked down to see a boy who seemed like 11 or 12 years old looking at him. The boy wore rather raggedy clothes with a flat cap on his head. This is for you. The boy handed out a piece of paper to Michael. What is it? Cindy looked at the boy, then she looked at Michael. Michael took the paper from the boy's hand to read what was written on it. If you want to know who put a contract on your head, come to Mary's Flowers. After reading the words, he looked down to ask the boy who gave the note, but the boy had already disappeared into the crowd. Do you know where sect leader Claire is, Cindy? Yes, they are over there. Michael made his way through the crowd in the direction Cindy pointed. Behave yourselves. After a few minutes of walking, Michael finally saw Claire and Olivia overseeing the disciples boarding the ships. Teacher, look, Brother Ghost. One of the disciples pointed his hand at Michael as the two ladies turned back. Both of them couldn't help but raise their brows. Through his black tank top they could see his perfect chiseled chest. The shirt's hands seemed like they were about to tear due to his biceps size. His usual attire used to hide his muscles, unlike what he was wearing at the moment. It was simple, yet even a simple dress like this made him look striking. Good morning, sect leader Claire. Olivia, how did you sleep last night? Olivia asked, like a baby. Cindy, stay with them. Michael put down Cindy. I have something to take care of. You guys go ahead. I'll join you later. Can someone else take care of it for you, teacher? You need to take as much rest as you can before the tournament. Yeah, what she said. Claire agreed with Olivia. It won't take too long. Don't worry. Michael quickly turned back, leaving the place. He wanted to know who put the contract on his head more than rest. If the Grim Reapers were anything like the dark underworld on Earth, they would send more assassins after him. The next time, the assassins would be stronger than the 4 he killed. To put a stop to this, Michael needed to kill the one who put the contract on his head in the first place. At least he hoped it would stop the Reapers. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 325, Somewhere Else in Azare Continent. Zanali was standing alone in an empty room where there was nothing but a large table in the center. She had a deep frown on her face. The reason for her frown was the stuff on the table. A weak-hearted one would be freaked out to see the broken skeletons of Nagas. Under the waist, the skeleton had the bone structure of a snake. Above the waist looked similar to humans, except their heads resembled a skeleton of a cobra's head. The bones were muddy, partially decomposed. She didn't need anyone to tell her how they die. She could see a deep cut in their hyoid bones. These are your men. A tall figure walked out from the dark corner. He looked human, but he was not. His upper body resembled a tiger, including his face. Standing almost 7 foot tall with a muscular build and a tiger face, he would terrify people who haven't been familiar with beastmen. Even among the beastmen, people with predator genes such as golden lion, white tiger, black panther, brown bear were extremely rare. Sage. A loud scream of an eagle could be heard in the room. Zanali looked up at the black eagle staring back at her from his shoulder. Your men were killed by a cold killer? The tiger beast man said. Jacoby, what do you mean a cold killer? Zanali asked. She wondered how Jacoby could tell if the killer was cold or not by looking at the partially decomposed skeletons. The cuts, there was no hesitation. Clean, deep cuts. The killer is either a trained killer or a murderous psychopath who killed more than 50 people, or both. Any signs of Gaia? Zanali asked. After hearing Jacoby describe the killer, a tinge of worry emerged in her heart. It was true that Zanali ordered her men to cripple Gaia's cultivation, but she wasn't as heartless as Gaia thought. Zanali had to cripple her cultivation because Gaia murdered hundreds of prisons as well as bribed almost half of the king's court. Zanali really wanted her stepsister to reflect on the bad things she had done in her life. Zanali hoped crippling her cultivation and throwing her in prison would rehabilitate Gaia, make her a better person. Her tracks disappear at the river town's border. It seems like someone from the river town helped your stepsister. Jacoby spoke with a thick accent Michael would have recognized as African. Can you track her down? Can I? I will track her down. I just want something that has the scent of her and an answer. Jacoby snickered. He gently rubbed the eagle's neck. His animalistic grin made him look even more terrifying. Answer to what? Jacoby finally stepped out of the darkness. completely revealing his golden fur-filled upper body that looked exactly like a Bengal tiger except for the hat on his head. "Do you want your stepsister dead or alive?" After giving Jacoby what he needed to find Gaia, Zanali came back to Peyton's manor. Zanali saw her friend resting her head on the hand, which she only did when she was either pissed off or worried or both. "Peyton, what happened?" She sat beside Peyton. "Nothing," Peyton waved her off. But behind her glasses, Zanali could see a sliver of anger. "Don't give me that, Missy, something happened with the Alpha Guardian?" Before she went to meet with Jacoby, Zanali left Peyton at one of the Guardian Guild safe houses where the Alpha Guardian was waiting for Peyton. Apparently, Peyton had some questions regarding how the Alpha Guardian handled the Lucifer situation. Although the Alpha Guardian put Peyton in charge of the operation, Zanali knew who led the Guardian to victory: Noah. Ever since Peyton chose Noah after Ghost rejected the offer, Noah had been climbing the ladder way faster than anyone ever did. In a short amount of time, he was promoted from being a trainee Guardian to a Guardian who had the privilege to train with the Alpha Guardian of Hunters, Isarl. Many Guardians would die to even meet an Alpha Guardian, yet Noah received the privilege of training with one. "It went fine," Peyton said. She was trying to calm her anger in silence. "Come on, Peyton, you owe me an explanation." "Explanation? You want an explanation?" Finally, Zanali's pestering broke the dam that kept Peyton's anger in control. "You want an explanation why the Guardians failed to apprehend Lucifer? You want an explanation why the Alpha Guardian is not sending her entire fleet searching for Lucifer? You want an explanation why they were thinking about promoting Noah to Guardian Captain instead of me?" She punched the table so hard that it obliterated into bits and pieces. "Well, I don't know, why don't you go ask your boyfriend?" Zanali was completely taken aback by surprise and shock. She had never seen Peyton lose her patience like this. Peyton realized what she had done when she looked at the horrified expression on her friend's face. Plus, the mahogany table that was reduced to nothing but a pile of splinters helped her realize what she did. "I'm sorry, Zanali." Zanali understood that Peyton wanted to be alone for some time. However, Peyton never left her side when she needed a friend to talk to. Most of the Guardians didn't like Nagas. To Zanali's luck, a bunch of racist humans were the ones who hired Zanali's batch of Guardians. At first, they rejected Zanali just because she was not a human. It was Peyton who fought them and cashed in all her favors to recruit Zanali, just because Peyton valued Zanali's talents more than anything. In Peyton's rage, she let out the matter of promotion. Zanali knew Peyton was working hard to get that promotion. It was the reason she took the risk of starting Operation New Dawn, which was to catch Lucifer, and she did. Although Noah also deserved to be promoted, Zanali knew it wasn't fair if Peyton got passed on that promotion because of Noah. Zanali was stuck in a dilemma. One side was her best friend, on the other side, the man who stole her heart. It was impossible for her to pick either of them over another. "It wasn't my fault they couldn't catch Lucifer. Let me tell you something, Zanali, something happened, I don't know what, but something happened. You were there, did you remember anything before the blackout?" "No." After Michael teleported, the Silent Reaper sunk into the bottom of the sea. They remembered waking up on the Alpha Guardian's warship. Before Peyton lost her consciousness, she could swear she felt immense pressure coming from Noah. Plus, she saw something change in Noah, she couldn't put her fingers in what, but something changed. She told the Alpha Guardian about this, yet she just brushed it off instead of investigating. Peyton tried to convince the Alpha Guardian to continue the search for Lucifer. However, the Alpha Guardian didn't seem like she's going to let anyone look for the Dark Lord. "Why aren't we hitting the kingdoms searching for the Dark Lord? Are they waiting for him to become stronger?" Peyton asked. "At least they should have retrieved that evil ship from the sea to find any clues. You know they have to do a closed casket funeral for Gina." Peyton couldn't finish off her sentence. She blamed herself for Gina's death. If it wasn't for Peyton to pluck her out of the trainees to put up with the Silver Moon girls, she wouldn't have ended up in the Dark Lord's ship. Because of her, Gina was murdered by Lucifer brutally, yet the Alpha Guardian refused to continue the search for Lucifer. It's like the Alpha Guardian want to nurture Noah more than catching Lucifer, who murdered one of our own. Are you questioning the Alpha Guardian, Peyton? Peyton walked towards the window. For a few moments she just stared at the pond outside in silence. I don't know, Zanala's heart skipped a beat. In all those years she knew Peyton, she had never seen her question the decision made by the Alpha Guardian. Peyton basically worshipped the Alpha Guardian, as she even had a picture of the Alpha Guardian in her room. What if we take some time off, Peyton? Go see the championship tournaments. I'll take your mind off from all these works. Just like Peyton, Zanali too needed a break, especially after knowing her sister might be with a killer. Since no Guardians were allowed to participate in the tournament, She wasn't going to the tournament, but now it seemed like a good thing as it might relax both of their minds. Whatever, Peyton just shrugged. She wasn't interested in tournaments like many people. If they asked her, she would let the youngsters get survival training for 3 months instead of the tournament. Besides, her mind was not in the mood for tournaments. However, she knew Zanali was right, she needed to take her mind off from the Guardian business for at least a couple of days. So that's a yes. Wonderful, I'll go take care of free things before we leave. Zanali clapped her hands together in joy. After Zanali left the room, Peyton was staring at the distant sky. She could feel her belief in the Guardian Guild had been shaken. How could they think Noah is better than me? I recruited him, not the other way around, she talked to herself. Without even she herself knew, the fire of anger towards Noah had been lit in her heart at this exact moment. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 326. Just like any cities he had been to, Sartan also looked medievalish. Since Sartan's main income was trading, the gray stone road was filled with merchant carriages. Michael walked alongside the road through the crowd. The air smelled different, like a perfume mixed with the lake air. Apples only 3 gold coins, we have the freshest seafood just caught. Royal Times, who killed Minister Bagru. An investigative piece inside, ships to royal land can be hired here, we have nice discounts. From either side of the road, vendors called out for people. Several street urchins were standing up on a stack of crates and waving the Royal Times newspaper at the crowd. Michael came in front of a seafood stall where he saw blue-color lobsters, tiny crabs, and fishes laid on baskets. They all looked fresh, even smelled good. Excuse, the vendor who was sprinkling water onto the fishes greeted Michael with a wide grin. Can you tell me where Mary's flower shop is? The vendor's smile dimmed out, realizing Michael was not here to buy. The vendor was disappointed, yet he didn't dare to show his disappointment through any words. Although Michael was wearing normal clothes, the vendor could tell he was a cultivator. Over the years, he had seen people getting killed by the cultivators for simple reasons. Therefore, when Michael asked for direction, he just gave it to him. Go straight and take a left. Thank you, Michael nodded with a smile before leaving. Among all the stalls, he picked up the seafood vendors subconsciously. When he was traveling with Gaia, she always dragged him to the stalls that sell food or anything related to food. It took him a few seconds to realize why he chose the seafood stall. Remembering the times he had to drag her away from the food stalls by force, he smiled. He walked in the direction the vendor showed him. The air started to smell different. He could taste the sweetness in the air, the smell of roses was overwhelming. The moment he turned left towards a small alley, he located Mary's Flowers. He didn't even need to read the name board, the fresh, colorful flowers in front of the shop were enough. Mary's Flower was not a street stall, it was a glass building that looked elegant both outside and inside. The building was almost 3 meters away from the pavement. The 3-meter space between the pavement and the shop was crammed with flower vases. They had barely enough space to walk to the glass door without grazing the flowers. In addition to the flowers from the earth such as blood-red roses, pink lotuses, blue dahlias as well as golden orchids, there were several flowers that solely belonged to this world. For instance, one of the vases had dark gray 3-petal flowers. His mind was not, however, in the mood to enjoy their beauty. He wanted to know who put the contract on his head so he could put an end to this threat. Welcome to Mary's Flower, young lord. The door opened with a ding sound as Michael was welcomed by a young girl in her early teens. She was neither too tall nor too short. With perfect petite structure, she put her brown hair into a bun. A blue lily was sticking out of her bun. Send him in. As Michael was walking towards the counter, a voice sounded out of nowhere. This way, young lord. The girl's smile disappeared from her face, she now looked rather stoic. She left the counter. Michael followed her to one of the glass racks filled with rose bouquets. Sliding the glass door, the girl pulled the bouquet in the center. Crack. Just a few seconds after the girl pulled the bouquet, he heard a cracking sound. Then the glass rack before him moved slightly towards the right, leaving just enough space for one to fit in. Through the space, Michael was able to see a table and a chair in the chandelier light. Lord, information is waiting for you inside. The girl gestured at Michael to step forward. Without wasting a time, Michael entered the room behind the glass rack through the space. Crack. He heard another cracking sound as the secret door made of glass racks slowly closed behind. Michael took each step forward with caution. Lord Ghost, a figure greeted them sitting behind the mahogany table. Silver, shoulder-length hair hung over a full, charming face. Hollow brown eyes set concealed within their sockets, watched Michael from top to bottom with a hint of surprise, probably due to Michael's normal attire. The glimmering smooth shiny skin perfectly complemented his almost perfect jaw structure. Michael couldn't help staring at the man's pointy ears. An elf. This was the first time Michael had seen an elf in real life. The elf looked exactly as the movies portrayed them except for the sweet scent they radiated. There was something wonderful about him, perhaps it was his friendly demeanor or perhaps the beautiful smile on the elf's face. Nonetheless, Michael didn't feel any vibe of hostility from Lord Information obviously. Just like Michael, the elf didn't want the others to know his real name, hence he called himself Lord Information. Take a seat. Lord Information lifted his arms slightly towards the chair as Michael seated himself. The elf's gesture was neither too polite nor too rude. The elf was writing something on a parchment. You sent this. Michael placed the piece of paper the boy gave him on the table. Words are mine. Lord Information leaned back on his chair, finally closing the parchment he was writing on. His brown eyes stared at Michael. What's it gonna cost? The elf's name was a dead giveaway of what he sells. Knowledge was wealth and the elf was dealing in information. So he knew the information he wanted wouldn't be free. Lord Ghost, you probably know the business I'm in. It's safe to say nothing happens in this continent without me knowing. A piece of information that seems irrelevant to someone might be relevant to another one. With the right circumstance, one will pay anything for the information I provide. He emphasized the word anything. What he said was true though. Nothing was more valuable to him than his own life. Michael was willing to pay any price. Take you for example. What you know is someone put a contract on your head for 500,000 gold coins. Since you're here, that means you killed the 4 core strengthening stage reapers sent after you by the guild. Michael was genuinely surprised. Not only the elf knew about their cultivation stage, but he also knew how many reapers were sent after him. Unfortunately for you, next time, stronger reapers will come after you. If they can't kill you, more will come. The Grim Reapers will keep sending Reapers after you until you're dead in the ground. As Michael feared, the Grim Reapers would send Reapers after him until he died. Even with the system, defeating anyone above the core strengthening stage was impossible. The only viable option seemed to be running away. However, he had too much going on here for him to drop everything and run. The elf let out a fox-like smile. Unless you kill the one who put the contract on your head. No paymaster, no contract, and you have that information. That's why you're here. Under normal circumstances, the price will be 5 times the bounty on your head. The elf tapped the table in a rhythm. I'm afraid this is not one. The price for this information aren't gold coins, the price is a favor from you, favor. Michael was surprised yet he also sighed. I knew this won't be that easy, he said to himself. If he had to pay 5 million gold coins, he could have easily paid to buy the information. However, the elf seemed to have a different idea in his mind. One of my elite clients has provided the information you need. Rest assured it's completely accurate. The one provided this information isn't interested in gold coins. They want me to do them a favor, no questions asked I presume. Lord Information nodded. If it's within my power, he'll give what they want. Wonderful. It's yours, but knows this, Lord Ghost, your word is your bone. If you backed out from your word. Before giving the information, the elf dragged his words out instead of finishing his sentence. The elf wanted to let Ghost know the consequences of going back on his word. I didn't survive till now backing out of my words, Lord Information. Michael wouldn't dare to back out of his words as Lord Information just had to pay the Grim Reapers a visit to end his life. Right from the beginning, Michael's intention was to become strong without making many powerful enemies. Michael would rather have Lord Information as a valuable ally at his side than as an enemy. An elf with dark secrets to sell could become the backbone of Lucifer's rule. Finally, the elf slid a piece of white paper towards Michael. He slowly leaned forward to pick the paper. The moment his eyes fell on the piece of paper, everything started to make sense. To this moment he was planning various ways to kill the one who put the contract on his head. He knew someone who could pay 500,000 gold coins wouldn't be easy to kill whenever he wanted. Michael was thinking about dealing with this problem as Lucifer. However, fate decided to end the problem as Ghost. Michael read the words written on the piece of paper. The one who was willing to pay 500,000 to kill Ghost. Alex Fisher, if you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 327. The light had long gone, but there was no mistaking where they were. Through the moonless night came the rhythmic pounding of the waves. As always, the salty air moved gently over their skin, wrapping them around as the warmest of soft towels. The sailing ship was fashioned from ancient oak, with masts that stood as tall. Instead of its once green foliage, it was adorned by sails of white to dove gray. To see the rich timbers, strong browns close to black, brought a sense of peace inside, perhaps akin to that given by a meadow. Yet for the next few hours, the fragrance would not be of wildflowers but of the open sea, ever-changing, ever-constant, ever in motion beneath the clouds who sail above. On the edge of the ship, Michael was enjoying the view with Cindy by his side. Since he heard fishing calms one's mind and soul, he bought fishing rods from Sarton after leaving Mary's Flowers. "Oh, come on, Brother Ghost, when will you catch something?" Cindy rested her head under Michael's arm. She tried to use his shoulder as a pillow but she was too short. Michael held the fishing rod in one hand while wrapping his other arm around Cindy so she wouldn't fall down. His shirt was enough for Cindy to cover herself to keep warm. "Patience, Cindy. Many good things will come in your life if you know how to be patient. You don't know how to fish, do you?" "Nope," Cindy giggled. Michael had been waiting to catch a fish for hours. Catching a fish wasn't his goal. If it was, he could simply brew a bait that would attract fishes from miles. His goal was to calm his mind and soul. Recent events had shaken his calm mind, especially Gaia leaving him. There was an eerie feeling deep down in his heart like she was in some kind of danger. His mind was telling him to let her do this alone while his heart was telling him to help her. He always went with his mind instead of his heart. "Hey, you two," Olivia's voice sounded from behind. She bent her waist, leaning on the edge beside Cindy. "So Cindy, your brother managed to catch something?" "Patience, Sister Olivia. Many good things will come in your life if you know how to be patient," Condi said with a serious voice. For a second Olivia was stunned. "Look at that, words of wisdom from a little lady." Olivia ruffled Cindy's head before giving a loving kiss to her on the cheek. "Whoa." Suddenly Michael felt his bait being bitten by something. "You caught it, brother, caught a fish." "Yeah." Michael had to tighten his grip around Cindy to keep her from falling down in excitement. "Hold her, Olivia." Michael let Olivia hold Cindy for a while as he started to slowly reel the fish in. "I wonder what kind of fish it'll be. Oh my God, please be orange tuna." Just like Cindy, Olivia also started to bounce up and down, clapping her hands in excitement. "Let us go pick up a bucket." Wiggling in Olivia's arms, Cindy shouted excitedly. The scene caused many of the crew and disciples to come to watch Michael. Fortunately, it was not a big crowd as many of them went to sleep in their quarters below deck. "Who likes campfire fish, boys?" Michael stood up on the ledge. "What's going on? Why aren't you people sleeping?" Claire walked out from the below deck to see a little commotion on the upper deck. She saw Ghost was standing on the edge, eagerly reeling the fishing rod. "Why aren't you in your bed?" Claire put her hands on her waist, shouting at Michael like a mad mother. "For God's sake, you have a tournament in 13 hours, the others made way for Claire. She came frowning, but when she saw how hard Michael was trying to reel the rod, she was stunned. Of course she knew he wasn't using any arch energy, that might be a big fish. "Let me help you." With a swift jump, she comfortably landed on the edge beside Michael. "So nice of you to join the fun," sect leader Claire. "You know what, this is nice." She joined in by holding the fishing rod with Michael. "Where's Nightmare? I haven't seen him since morning. He said he's seasick and going for a fly. Can dragons even get seasickness?" Michael questioned. "Beats me." Michael could contact Nightmare through his earpiece, but he wanted Nightmare to have some alone time. Just like Michael, Nightmare also missed Gaia. Life was boring for him without Gaia to fight. "Let's take this bastard home." Michael had enough with the fish. After Claire nodded, they used their full strength to pull the fishing rod up against the fighting fish. The moment the fish came out of the ocean, Claire's smile faded away into oblivion. Many of the people staring at the fish also had the same shocked expressions on their faces. "It's a black tuna," a giant 3-meter tuna fish that was charcoal black, wiggling frantically at the end of the line. There wasn't a single inch on its body that wasn't black. For Michael, he had no idea what made Claire so startled. She wasn't even blinking anymore. "This is bad luck." The moment these words escaped Claire's mouth, Olivia's scream reverberated the ship. The arch energy rushed into his veins as he pulled off the fish with one single lift. Since the shipbuilder decided it's a good idea to build the captain's cabin on the center of the upper deck, Claire couldn't see what's happening on the other end of the cabin. "Teacher." Lightning dash, bolts of golden lightning covered him before he disappeared, leaving a trail of golden light. Everyone ran in the direction of Olivia's scream. "Beer. Your brother." Michael's steps came to a halt as he saw a dark hooded figure holding a silver dagger against Cindy's throat. The figure and Cindy were standing on the edge of the ship while Olivia was lying on the ground with blood trickling down from her mouth corner. Cindy was shivering in fear, yet there wasn't a single tear that came out of her eyes. The little girl promised Gaia that she won't cry anymore. She was holding that promise despite the cold dagger on her throat. Reaper. Michael clenched his fist. The Reaper in front of him was one level stronger than the 4 Reapers he killed a few days ago, core strengthening stage level 3. The Reaper was ruthless enough to use a little girl to finish his assassination. The figure was even wearing robes that resembled a Reaper. If the figure only had a scythe, he would look exactly the same as a Reaper. Teacher. Teacher, he came out of nowhere, Olivia stuttered while picking herself up from the floor. Her mind still couldn't comprehend what just happened. One moment she was carrying Xiandu to pick up a bucket for Michael's fish. Then she felt a sharp pain in the back of her head. The next moment she was lying on the ground and the stranger was holding a dagger against Cindy's throat. Don't, Michael said as the Reaper moved his other arm to his back to retrieve another silver dagger. The Reaper threw the dagger at Michael that landed a couple of inches in front of Michael's feet. If you don't want me to paint the floor with this piglet's blood, pick that up, Cindy. Claire came running to the scene to see the Reaper standing behind Cindy with a dagger on her throat. Her mind went blank in overwhelming fury. Stand down, Claire. Michael raised his hand. Oh my God, Cindy? Who is that? Brother Ghost, do something. Who is he and how did he get here? Everyone was stunned. Except for a few disciples, everyone stayed away from Michael. Keeping his anger inside, Michael picked the dagger from the floor as the Reaper said. Brother, it's nothing, Cindy, don't worry. The dagger was so sharp that a single gentle cut could end Cindy's life. Even if he transformed into Lucifer, the Reaper could kill Cindy before he could kill the Reaper. However, it was not like Michael did not have any plan. After Jack's death, Michael made sure everyone he cared about would be safe in the face of danger. Cindy suddenly felt something crawling on her chest. She tried not to wiggle as something slowly crawled up towards her neck. She stared straight into Michael's eyes. You know what to do. After Michael picked up the dagger, the Reaper said in a gritty voice. What is he talking about, teacher? Who is he? Olivia shivered. You have 10 seconds, the Reaper said. He gently ruffled Cindy's head, making it hard for Michael to control his anger. Ghosty, I can cause a distraction. All of a sudden, Michael's earpiece got activated in his ear as he heard Nightmare's voice. Looking at the sky behind the Reaper, Michael activated his thermal vision to see Nightmare hovering above the clouds, ready to cause a distraction. I'll do it in 5 seconds. Michael emphasized the words to let Nightmare know exactly when to cause a distraction. Michael just needed the Reaper to be distracted for a couple of seconds. He could use those few precious seconds to save Cindy, activate the death range, punch the Reaper in the throat. He wouldn't be able to cast a spell and kill him. In addition to the throat punch, he would make the spider that's currently crawling on Cindy's shoulder towards the Reaper inject the paralyzing poison into the Reaper's bloodstream. The paralyzing poison was strong enough to paralyze the Reaper for 5 to 10 seconds. However, everything had to work perfectly without a hitch. Otherwise, the Reaper would kill Cindy in front of their eyes. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 328, No one has ever suffered as you will, Michael mumbled under his breath. Although he never showed what he's feeling inside on his face, he was burning with anger. Hurry up, I don't have all day, the Reaper growled. Ghost, the word barely escaped through the gritted teeth of Claire. Anger turned her rosy skin into somewhat red. 1, 3, the Reaper started to count as Michael gradually moved the dagger towards his neck. Teacher, Ghost? Olivia and Claire were startled. They trusted Michael to handle the situation, yet what he was doing stirred up their fear. The disciples desperately wanted to help however they could, but they saw no way of helping Ghost. The Reaper moved the dagger an inch closer to Cindy's throat. Cindy's legs turned to jelly, feeling the cold dagger against her throat. Every second Cindy spent fearing for her life made Michael want to torture the Reaper more. For 5 now. The moment Michael shouted, a stream of fire out of nowhere hit the deck beside the Reaper. The fire momentarily distracted him. Lightning dash. Michael immediately cast the spell to save Cindy. Michael was not the only one waiting for a distraction. Claire raised her hand as thorns protruded out of the floor beneath the Reaper to coil around his limbs. Thorns of hell. The thorns created by Claire's spell weren't strong enough to immobilize the Reaper forever, but it was strong enough to keep the Reaper from slitting Cindy's throat until Michael reached her. Michael pushed himself to the limit. When he reached the Reaper, Michael pushed Cindy away from the dagger in one hand while clenching the dagger in the other. Cindy, the moment Cindy was free of the Reaper's hold, Olivia leaped at Cindy, picked her up, and then dashed away as quickly as she could. If it was normal fire, the Reaper would have cut Cindy's throat, but it was not. A dragon's breath burned hotter than anything. The hot blast created when the fire stream hit the deck boiled the Reaper's skin as he didn't have any defense spells cast on him. Moreover, his hands went numb after feeling a sting on his palm. Ketcha. Michael chopped at the Reaper's throat. Arg, cough, cough. The Reaper clenched his throat in agony. While he was coughing, Michael sent a few blasts of wind to the fire around them. Wind blast. The blasts quickly put out the fire, making the ship dark again. In addition to the fire, the people staring at the scene terrified were also sent flying away by the wind blasts, including Claire and Olivia. Death range. Michael's strength skyrocketed after he cast the death range. Now we dance catcha. Catcha. Michael landed a couple of more chops on the Reaper's throat. His hyoid bones were already dislocated by Michael's chops. Unless the Reaper could jump to the fusion stage and cast spells mentally, he was weak as a chicken to Michael. Cindy, are you all right? You poor thing, here, drink this. On the other hand, Olivia embraced Cindy tightly, afraid of letting Cindy out of her reach. Cindy was still shivering when she swallowed the healing potion. Teacher, Olivia looked up to see Michael lifting the intruder by his neck. Due to the darkness, she couldn't see his face. However, she could feel the cold, killing intent radiating from Ghost. Everybody back off. Seeing the disciples who were sleeping in the below decks running to the scene, Claire shouted at them. She did not want the disciples to be caught in the crosshairs. Brother, Cindy reached out her hands to Michael. No, sweetheart, let's get away from them. Olivia rushed away to safety carrying Cindy in her arms. Boom. While she was running away, she felt a blast of force hitting her from behind. The force almost knocked her down. Regaining her balance, she looked over her shoulder to see Michael slamming the intruder onto the mainsail pole. We need to hand him over to the Guardians. Claire rushed over to Michael before the situation escalated further. He dies. The disciples felt a chill hearing Michael's cold words. When Claire got closer, she could smell the blood and booze from the intruder. The booze smell was so overwhelming that it made her twitch her nose. Michael couldn't care less about the Reaper's drunk status. It was obvious the Reaper made a stupid move to come here without an actual plan because he was drunk. The booze slowed down the Reaper's reflexes and dimmed out his ability to fight back. Boom. The entire ship shook when Michael slammed the Reaper against the main pole. Son of a b dash. Michael ripped off the Reaper's plain wooden mask of his face. Behind the mask, an old wrinkly face stared back at Michael. His eyes were gray, no facial hair, not even eyebrows could be seen on his face. Arg. Claire saw Michael put his hand straight into the old man's mouth. Ha ha. The old man frantically shook his body as he was being electrocuted. Claire was unable to make up her mind whether to help the old man or not. Some of the daredevil disciples quickly lit the torches on the deck to see what Michael was doing to the old man in clear light. The torches radiated a bright orange light, revealing everything to them. They saw Ghost standing in front of an old man with his arm inside the old man's mouth. The man kept wiggling to escape, his gray eyes almost turned red in agony. All of a sudden Michael pulled his arm out of his mouth as blood splattered on the ground. Is that? I'm gonna puke. Oh my god. Ark. When they saw Michael's hand which was dripping the old man's blood, their faces turned green. Some of them immediately threw up on the spot while many female disciples screeched like banshees. It was all because of what they saw in Michael's hand, the old man's bloodied tongue. HR. The old man's muffled cry of agony sent chills running through their spines. Claire was nauseated while Olivia quickly closed Cindy's eyes, but she knew it was too late. Olivia felt Cindy's body start to shiver. Michael, however, didn't stop there. I'm starting to get creative. Can you guess what I'm about to do next? Michael let go of the Reaper's neck as he fell down to the floor. The old man wiggled like a fish out of the water in excruciating pain. Teacher, stop. Ghost, listen. Olivia and Claire came running to Michael, hoping to bring back Ghost from his rampage. Oh, I forgot you got no tongue. Michael devilishly chuckled before grabbing the Reaper by his collar. All of the Reaper's effort to wiggle himself out of Michael's grab turned futile. Michael dragged him from the main pole on the ship's center towards the captain's cabin. The old man left a trail of blood pouring out of his mouth. Claire was running behind Michael to make him stop. Olivia, on the other hand, kept Cindy's eyes closed. She herself started to fear Ghost like this. The always calm, smiling youngster was nowhere to be found. Instead, she was looking at a cold-blooded monster. The disciples were staring at Michael, their faces were pale as white paper. Where the hell is Nightmare? Claire looked up the sky searching for Nightmare, but he was nowhere to be found. When they reached the captain's cabin, Michael slammed the Reaper against the wooden wall. His body fell down. He tried to crawl away from Michael. Stop! Claire screamed, but it was too late as Michael stomped the Reapers on the knee. Michael's stomp shattered the Reaper's kneecap. There were pieces of broken bones sticking out of his leg. Without saying anything, Michael turned back, walking towards the cabin door. While Ghost was in the captain's cabin doing God's knows what, Claire approached the bloody Reaper. She squatted beside him before taking a healing potion out of her space ring. Unlike Michael, Claire wanted the intruder to be handed over to the Guardians so they could find out why he was on their ship in the first place. If Ghost killed him, there was no way of finding out the answer. As a sect leader, she wanted to know whether he was targeting only Ghost or plotting to harm the entire sect. Who is he, Claire? Olivia came running. She asked Claire in a husky voice. I don't know. Where is Cindy? Safe with the disciples. Olivia's eyes were fixed at the cabin's door. What's he gonna do? Torture? Olivia's heard Michael's voice. The door to the cabin opened once again to reveal Michael. He walked out of the room carrying a roll of rope. The Reaper's eyes opened so wide as it looked like they were about to pop out of the sockets. Ghost, stop, teacher. The two ladies tried to stop him, but at the same time, their feet walked backward in subconscious fear. Look at you, completely healed up. Michael grinned, not the kind one or his usual one, it was radiating murderous intent. Let's fix that up. Michael lifted the Reaper by his neck once again to beat the crap out of him. While holding the Reaper in the air in one hand, Michael started to punch repeatedly in the chest region, breaking his ribs one by one. Teacher, stop. She grabbed Michael's hand. Olivia couldn't keep watching Michael torture the old man. If he had killed the old man, Olivia would have understood, but torturing him like this seemed wrong to her. Wind blast. Michael blasted away Olivia when she tried to stop him with a blast of wind. No one can lessen the pain I'm about to inflict on you. If you like this chapter, please comment, send Power Stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 329, Olivia. Claire shouted when she saw Olivia was sent flying away. Michael did not even linger around to see Olivia fall down. He started to drag the Reaper away from the captain's cabin to the mainsail pole. Boom. Halfway to the mainsail pole, he threw the Reaper as the Reaper slammed against the pole. The pole swayed, creating a creaking noise. The Reaper struggled to stand up. He knew he was going to die, but he didn't want to go down without a fight. It took great strength to retrieve the silver dagger from his waist. The Reaper growled. Without the tongue, no one could make a sense out of his growl. As he walked towards the Reaper, Michael's sword materialized in his hand from the system's storage. He only took out one sword because one was more than enough for what's on his mind. The Reaper barely stood straight, holding the dagger at Michael. Stand down, idiot, he's dead. What's his cultivation level? Definitely not higher than Brother Ghost, the onlookers began to murmur among themselves. For some, it was quite entertaining, and for some, the old man is getting what he deserves for trying to harm Cindy. Michael did not focus on anything except hurting the Reaper in front of him. When he was just a meter away from the old man, the old Reaper slashed the dagger. Ding! With a simple flick of his sword, Michael sent the dagger flying away from the old man's hand. Poch! Michael didn't stop with one slash, he slashed his sword again. This time he aimed at the old man's wrist. Michael's sword cut the old man's wrist like a hot knife through butter. As blood was gushing out of the place where his wrist was a moment ago, the old Reaper screamed in agony. Each pulse pumped out more blood out of the wound. While the Reaper was squirming in pain, Michael slashed yet again, cutting his other wrist. The old man's face became paler and paler due to blood loss. After squirming for a few seconds, he fell down again to the ground. The blood formed a circle around him as he laid in his own pool of blood. Even some of those disciples who initially wanted the old man to die felt a little pity for him because the Sunrise sect taught their disciples kindness and compassion. Get up. Michael wasn't finished, he lifted the Reaper by his blood-drenched collar. Boom. Michael slammed him yet another time before he used the rope he got from the captain's cabin to tie him against the mainsail pole. Michael deliberately tied the rope with the rope that was used to hoist the flag. Brother, stop. Just when Michael was about to hoist the Reaper like a flag to make him die slowly, Cindy's shout reverberated the ship. "Cindy, close your eyes." Claire and Olivia came running to Cindy. Olivia tried to close Cindy's eyes, but the little girl swatted her hands away. For the first time since Michael started to torture the Reaper, he took his gaze away from the Reaper. "Brother, you can't do this to a fellow human being." Everyone was surprised to see Cindy talk with a serious face for the first time since they knew her. "Human being? He's not 1 inch." Michael pulled down the rope as the Reaper's body moved higher. "Neither are you, brother, if you keep doing this." Cindy. Claire's heart skipped a beat when the little girl talked back. She tried to shush her, yet Cindy didn't back off. "We should be kind, merciful, and caring." The words that came out of her mouth didn't seem to belong to a little girl. "Cindy, go to your room, you're still too little." "No, no." Both Cindy and Michael said no at the same time. "People like him always mistake kindness for weakness, Cindy. Show him kindness and he will show you the dagger." "And you're right." Michael paused for a second, looking at the Reaper and Cindy. "I'm not human when someone pisses me off." Michael pulled down the rope with enough force that catapulted the Reaper's body to the top of the mainsail pole. Diddle diddle, the flag of the Sunrise sect now had a bloody body hanging in front. "We are so little, Beaver." She stuttered in shock, seeing the bloody body. The rope tied around the Reaper's body got tighter as his eyes started to bulge out. In addition to his eyes bulging out, the blood oozed down onto Michael, bathing him in blood. He looked like a demon in everyone's eyes for a second. "Kill or be killed, Cindy. You'll realize this when you grow up and learn how this world works," Michael said. "Teacher, you're sick," Olivia said to herself. Perhaps everyone on the ship had the same thought appear in their minds. Somewhere else in the Elon continent, a few hours ago, the clouds were the kind of gray that would make any quarry rock proud, as if they were so pleased to echo the ground. All the gray, all that swirling water in the sky, condensation was bound to happen sooner rather than later. Above these gray clouds was a desolate quarry. As far as one's eyes could see, there wasn't a single tree or any plant for that matter that could be found except for boulders and a group of angry Reapers wearing nothing but black robes. Each of the Reapers looked exactly like the Reaper that attacked Michael's ship. The Reapers were rushing from all directions towards a woman who was sitting on a pile of dead bodies. She was calmly watching the Reapers while sharpening her swords by rubbing them together. Her long black hair fluttered in the wind, revealing the drops of blood on her alluring face. From her long coat to the fingerless glow to the boots she wore, everything was black as the darkest night. The pile of bodies she was sitting on contained at least 30 dead Reapers. All of them were core-strengthening stage level 6 cultivators. Yet none of them could stand a chance against her. Even when there were 20 more Reapers rushing towards her with their weapons raised, there wasn't the slightest fear in her eyes. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star," she flicked her wrists as the blood on the swords splattered onto the ground, revealing the black blades of her swords. Her voice was gentle, yet at the same time, it was filled with a murderous aura. "How I wonder what you are." A thin layer of gold energy enveloped her body as she gracefully stood up to walk towards the live Reapers. Up above the world so high, as she was walking, a crimson-red fire started to coil around her swords like snakes. Soon the fire enveloped her whole body. The fire burnt so hot that even the pebbles on the ground turned into charcoal. The Reaper came to a halt when they felt the air getting hotter and hotter. They had no idea how strong the woman before them was. The only thing they knew was that she cut 30 Reapers in a couple of minutes like vegetables. They didn't even know who the hell was this woman. The Reapers were minding their business as they were flying to kill Ghost. But all of a sudden she appeared out of nowhere, ambushed them, and killed their colleagues except for one. She let one alive so he could bring backup. Like a diamond in the sky. The moment she said the last word of the rhyme, she leaped so high into the sky. She then swirled her swords as the fire formed a circle above her head. "Die." She pointed the 2 swords at the Reapers. The circle of fire transformed into a chakra before soaring through the sky towards the Reapers. Turtle shell. Snow prison. Earth shield. The Reapers immediately cast defensive shields around them. However, none of their shields were protected from the fire. It melted through their shield to reduce them into nothing but ashes. "Pathetic weaklings," the woman snickered. With a single spell, she took out half of the Reapers. Those who survived were blasted by the shockwave. "Run." After seeing how reality she killed the Reapers, the rest of them lost the nerve to fight her. Hellfire circle, hovering above the Reapers, she waved her hand. The very next moment, the crimson-red fire turned ominous dark purple. The stream of purple fire shot out from both of her swords, forming a cage around the Reapers who tried to run away. The grim Reapers who were feared by everyone were stuck in the cage of fire, waiting to be killed like insects. She slowly descended from the sky, the ceiling of the fire cage opened up to let her obediently. Poch, 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 poch. She gracefully sliced and diced the reapers who were unfortunate to be closer to her. Each of her sword slashes cleaved a head clean off a shoulder. After killing another 4, she didn't even move. She just waved her sword, creating a crescent-shaped wind blade with her swords. More blood splashed across the ground, painting the gray ground red. The cage was her killing ring, and the reapers were nothing but mere cattle that were waiting to be butchered. Why, who are you, lady? The last remaining reaper tried to crawl away from her. His half of the body was burnt by the purple flame. Before he died, he wanted to know who killed him and why. She kicked him in the gut before squatting down beside him. Tell your friends you guys picked up a wrong contract. The woman ran her sword through the reaper's neck. The reaper slightly sighed inside, thinking that she might let him live. Don't bother, I'll tell them myself. The reaper's heart skipped a beat, but soon, his heart was penetrated by her sword, ending his life instantly. She looked around the dead reapers for a few seconds. I need to find the one who put the contract on my son and end this. She tossed the swords into the air before turning back to leave. As she was walking away, the swords fell straight into her sheath on her back. Snap. While walking away, she snapped her fingers as the purple flame cage exploded, creating a small mushroom cloud. She walked away from the explosion like in the movies. The reapers never thought they would be massacred by a woman. They had no idea that it was Harriet Hunt who hunted them down. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts, as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 330. The road that led to and from Meblin village in Kethen was unrecognizable, as nature had begun reclaiming the now unused area. Gardens once looked after and trimmed to perfection were now rough and overgrown, returning back to their chaotic natural state. Most doors were either completely gone or mere remnants of rotten wood and rusty metal. The open doorways looked eerie as only darkness showed within. Paint crumbled off of the walls and was slowly replaced by vines that crawled their way towards the rooftops. Meblin, once nothing more than a simple, quiet town, was now a ghost town in the truest sense. The air, which was once filled with the many sounds of a growing community, had grown eerily quiet. The silence was only broken up by the occasional animal sound and gust of wind. The once tranquil peace of mind people found in the park was now found by wild animals enjoying the sunshine and tall grasses. With nothing and nobody to bother them, they had grown into a huge community of their own. One could go anywhere in town they wanted, walk into any home, and visit any previously private part of town, assuming it hadn't been destroyed by nature already. But not all was lost. In a way, the legacy of this town lived on through the animals that lived here now. The spirit was still alive, albeit in a different manner. Strolling through this ghost town, Gaia entered a longhouse. The house was dark, but the orb of light hovering in her hand helped her navigate through the corridor, which she could clearly feel was leading downwards. The corridor was pretty dark, and after having walked for 15 minutes in silence, a steel door appeared in front of them. What is this place? Standing on Gaia's shoulder, Ayag asked. Vidora felt surprised. They never expected a hidden place like this within a ruined house in a ghost town. There's a portal behind this steel room. Gaia placed her hand on the dust-covered steel door. Portal to the fire realm? Ayag asked. After leaving the dark forest, Gaia only told them that she's going to a realm called the fire realm, except she didn't tell them how or why. That's right. She waved her hand, unleashed a beam of light onto the steel door. A click immediately sounded out from the door. It looked like it hadn't been opened for quite a long time, or perhaps it had only been opened a few times, which is why it produced such a rusty sound when opening. Behind the steel door was a spacious secret chamber, and it was sealed on all sides. Right in the middle of the secret chamber there was an illusory portal. It was floating endlessly like water while emitting bright lights. How do you know about this portal? Ayag asked. This place looks ancient, yet this portal doesn't look old at all. Sarba looked curiously at the portal. There are secret portals all over this world made by cults before the Guardians wiped them out. Now that I think about it, the Order of Death might be one of those cults. She cautiously walked towards the portal. Whoever built this was really skillful with formations. The portal is different from all other kinds of portals and formations, and it's related to the dimensional forces. Without advanced knowledge about runes, no one would be able to build this. Definitely the work of a 6-star rune master, Gaia said with a calm voice. So are you going to tell us your plan here? Gaia sighed inside. Instead of stepping into the portal, she decided to let Vidora know her plan. Otherwise, she knew they would keep asking the same question until she answered them. However, she had no time to briefly explain her plan. Therefore, she only gave them an outline of her plan. Here's the gist. We go to this realm, find something called the Satanic Key, enter the blood cave using the key, find the five-headed ancient serpent, kill it, and absorb its soul. She made it sound easy, but she knew it would take everything in her to survive inside the fire realm, let alone defeating the ancient serpent. However, she was resolute in getting this done. If she could absorb the ancient serpent, her body and soul would go through metamorphosis, just like Nightmare, only her metamorphosis would catapult her cultivation level to multiple stages higher. Why do I get the feeling we're gonna get our asses kicked soon? I told you not to come, Gaia shrugged. Shut up and activate the portal. This place freaks me out, Ayag complained as Gaia rolled her eyes. She told Vidora not to come with her, yet Ayag insisted on coming with her. In fact, Ayag gave Gaia only two choices. It was either bring them along or they would tell Michael about her departure. Since Gaia didn't want Michael to come with her as she didn't want to endanger his life, she brought Vidora with her. Fine, with a flip of her palm, she retrieved a golden-colored token from his storage ring. It was about the size of a palm, and it looked to fit right into the slot located at the center of the portal. She took a step forward, gently placing the token into the portal. An instant later, the portal produced a buzzing sound, then it started functioning. Swoosh swoosh. Followed by the activation of the portal, a wild wind swept across the entire secret chamber. Celestial energy was leaking out from the portal, making it difficult for them to breathe. Buzz. Not long after that, a pitch-black tunnel appeared right in the middle of the portal. Freezing winds immediately violently blew out from it. It was so cold that it felt like it was coming from eternal darkness. It sent a shiver down the spines of all who heard it. Even the usually calm Kane's expression changed upon sensing this. Gaia, however, was standing right in front of the storm with an indifferent expression. Ayag stuck her tongue out and felt excited as well. Just like Gaia, Ayag did not fear danger, she became excited upon encountering danger. Both loved thrilling adventures, they liked the feeling of excitement. Let's go. Gaia leaped forward, disappearing into the tunnel. Click. Right as Gaia disappeared, the tunnel instantly closed. The portal had also stopped functioning. The golden token popped out from the slot before turning into nothing but ashes. Swoosh, swoosh, the freezing wild wind never seemed to stop. Ho ho! Ayag screamed excitedly, putting her tongue outside. Hold on to us, Sarba on the other hand screamed into Gaia's ears. He wanted Gaia to hold them in her hands rather than letting them stay on her shoulders. This is Aawazosum, Ayag kept screaming. She did not worry about getting thrown into the spatial tunnel. After hearing Sarba scream, she lifted Vidora from her shoulder to hold them tight in her hand. Only then Sarba heaved a sigh of relief. Gaia was moving along the flow, there were whirlwinds everywhere, and the tunnel looked variegated. The whirlwinds kept blowing into the tunnel, causing her face to hurt. The more they traveled, the more the tunnel seemed shaky and unstable, as if it was going to collapse at any time. Quit screaming, shithead, the portal isn't stable. We better be careful. I don't want to drift off from the tunnel because of your screams. Gaia flicked Ayag on the head. What will happen if we drift off from this tunnel? Sarba politely asked. Behind his polite words, Gaia could sense fear. Nothing good. Best case scenario, we'll end up outer space drifting forever. Worst case, our bodies would explode into a bloody mist. Sarba felt even more depressed after hearing her words. He looked around and found out there were black holes everywhere. Also, from time to time, a massive dimensional typhoon would appear in their sights. Black hole was a place where coldness and darkness blended together. It was tough to find a dimensional node within. Even immortals wouldn't dare to treat a black hole carelessly. The dimensional typhoon within the black holes was the deadliest existence. It was just a dreadful monster that would cause anything that gets dragged into it to perish. Within the teleportation tunnel, Kane was admiring the breathtaking dimensional turbulence around him while listening to Ayag and Sarba chit-chat. He noticed Gaia often looked over her shoulder. He could tell she was looking for Ghost. Although she didn't talk about how she's feeling, her eyes betrayed her, revealing the sorrow within her heart to the outside. After staying for a full day in the tunnel for an entire day, the duo finally saw a light at the end of the tunnel. We're almost there. Seeing this, Gaia informed Vidora, I wonder what the flame realm looks like. Ayag was so excited that she jumped up from Gaia's hand. The light at the end of the tunnel became brighter, and soon after, Gaia arrived at the end of the tunnel. Everyone held their breath as they were getting ready to enter the fire realm. Right now, within the fire realm, someplace within an abyss. It was a foggy place and everything here looked gray. The abyss was a completely desolated area and rocks were everywhere. A monster with a body fully covered with purplish scales was roaming around in this area. This monster was over 5 meters tall, its whole body was fuming with frightening red mist. It only had one eye, which was positioned vertically right in the middle top of its face. It also only had one nostril and one huge mouth below the eye. The eye, nose, mouth were all lined up in a straight line, giving it a really fearsome savage look. The monster was roaming around, its eyeball was rolling around in full alert as if it was searching for something. Bang! Suddenly a loud banging sound could be heard from the skies above. It was as loud as a fierce thunder strike. A hole in the sky appeared as a figure shouted out from it. The monster was startled by the sound. It raised its head to look in the direction. In an instant, Gaia fell straight onto its head. Plop! Everything happened so fast that this monster didn't even have time to react. Gaia carried a massive amount of force when she hit the monster's head. The monster cried out horribly while rolling on the floor. Brr! The monster was furious. After rolling on the floor in pain, it immediately stood up on the ground to look at the being that caused the pain. "You are one ugly son of a bitch." Gaia's bow materialized in her hand. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 331, What is that thing? Vidora stared at the beast from top to bottom in wonder. They searched through the knowledge they inherited from Gaia and Michael to find something or anything about the beast. Bang! While they were focusing on finding about the beast, Gaia released a golden arrow aiming at the beast's head. The moment the arrow met the beast's head, blood splashed everywhere, the monster's head exploded into a mess. Gaia felt a bit of pity for the monster. A moment ago it was minding its own business. Fate played a game in the monster's life by opening the portal right above its head. Otherwise she wouldn't have landed on the beast, making it mad. "Do you think it's edible? What is wrong with you?" Gaia felt a sudden feeling of nausea hit her core when Iag asked. She flicked Iag on the head couple of times. "Ouch, bitch, that hurts." Aya cursed Gaia while trying to bite her finger. Cain ignored their bickering. "A body refining stage beast. I can sense its cultivation stage, so that means the Hydra's scream didn't affect this realm? Are we in a different world?" Sarba asked. Finally, Gaia stopped fighting with Iag to answer Sarba. "No, this is one of the many realms between our world and the space outside. Some realms are above the world while some realms are inside our world." After explaining, she started to walk away from the dead bodies as it might attract various other beasts to their location. "Why does this damn abyss feel so ghastly? Gray fog everywhere. I hope this fog can't hurt us." Gaia's expression became serious. She looked around as well. "Did you come here before?" Sarba asked. "No, but I learned what's little out there about this place." "Humph, never pegged you for a learning type," Iag snickered. The other two heads expected a snarky comeback from Gaia, yet she kept walking without uttering a word. "Alright, this place looks boring as it is and now you decided to go into silence mode." Iag moved her head towards Gaia's thumb to chew it. She wanted to bring Gaia back from her deep train of thoughts. Ah! Gaia suddenly felt a sharp pain in her thumb. She looked down to see Iag chewing her thumb viciously. "What's on your mind?" Sarba asked before gently knocking away Iag from Gaia's thumb. "Isn't it obvious she's thinking about Ghost?" Iag said. "You should have brought him with us." "No, Cain, he has enough problems as it is. I want to do this alone. If he was with me, he'd be worrying about my safety more than getting what I need here. I need to prove it to myself that I'm worthy of him." Vidora understood Gaia's feeling. They unanimously decided not to ponder into her feelings too much. If she was focusing on her feelings, her fighting intent would be lessened. They didn't want that to happen. Gaia learned about this place, yet she did not expect it to be such a nefarious environment. "Look, another one." Iag noticed another beast looking exactly the same as the one Gaia killed roaming around the land almost 100 meters in front of them. Gaia wanted to go past the beast without killing it, but even from 100 meters away the beast found them. It turned its one eye staring at them as puffs of smoke came out of its nostril. "What is this monster? There's something different about these beasts." As Sarba was letting the others know what was in his mind, Gaia fired an arrow lightning fast. The arrow soared through the air. Boom. Just like before, when the arrow hit the beast, its head exploded. The energy coming from it was not arch energy. It's different. Getting closer to the dead body, Gaia carefully examined the monster. Indeed, she had learned about these beasts called the fire demons, but she had never seen them with her own eyes until now. "I think the energy coming from them is some kind of first energy." Human talked about various energies other than arch and celestial. Since this is not celestial, it must be first energy, at least a variant of it. She paused for a second before going on. According to the legends, these fire demons have a really strong body and incredible muscles, and its most powerful weapon is its vertical eye, which can unleash a powerful light that can cause damage directly to one's soul. These beasts only exist in ancient realms like this one. We need to be careful here. I don't think there are only body-refining beasts here. Gaia sighed inwardly. The ancient scripts she had read about ancient realms told her that the fire realm had suddenly appeared 3,000 years ago. It was the same time the Guardians completed a ritual that made the gods lock the Dark Lord's seed in a universe with no magical energy, a void universe. Since we're so close to this beast, we should get the monster core. Gaia put her hand inside the bloody mess on the ground. She searched for a few moments before grabbing the monster core of the beast. Vidora saw her pull a hand-sized black orb from the bloody mess. She quickly put the core inside her space ring. You're right. I, the master dog, have a copper head and iron bones. Even if the ancestor of this fire demon was here, it wouldn't be able to withstand a single head slam from this master dog. I can sense strong energy radiation from this thing. I wonder if you can absorb this energy? Asked Kane as Gaia shook her head. I can't, but I bet my freaky human can. Speaking about Michael put a smile on her face. Not all beasts contain monster cores, but if a monster core contained arch energy, any individual being from any race could absorb the energy. Nevertheless, monster cores that contained anything other than arch energy or celestial energy couldn't be absorbed by a being as they contained too much impure energy. Absorbing it by force would seriously impact the person's cultivation, and it could even make them enter a state of coma. Usually, monster cores above the body strengthening stage were extremely rare because any beast that reached core formation would choose to live in places hidden from the hunters. Most of the time, these beasts would form a pack to keep themselves safe from hunters and get rare herbs that let them cultivate faster. After putting the monster core in her space ring, she shot out a ball of flames and burned the body to ashes. Brr. Right at this moment, a loud roar sounded out from somewhere not far away from where they stood. It sounded deep and a little hoarse, which made it extremely terrifying. They immediately turned around to look in the direction. In an instant, they saw a monster which was glowing brightly appearing not far away from them. It was slowly walking towards them. Although she burned the body, it was too late as the monster was attracted by the smell of blood long before she burned the body. What kind of monster is this? Vidora was startled. The monster wasn't tall, it was just a little bit taller than an average human. The body didn't look very muscular either, but it gave them an overbearing impression. This monster had a transparent body that looked like a crystal. Also, it didn't have any facial figures. No nose, no ears, and no mouth. Right in the middle of its face, there was a crystal eye, which kept staring at Gaia. Grrrr. The monster roared out once again. It didn't have a mouth, but it could still roar loudly. The roar sounded like it came from its body. It was enough to send shivers down most people's spines. If any ordinary girl saw this strange monster, she would definitely be scared to the point she screamed as loud as she could. But Gaia didn't move at all. Since the Hydra's scream didn't affect this realm, she could easily find out the cultivation level of this monster. It was only a core formation level 1. Although it was considered pretty strong, it couldn't pose any threat to her. Unlike the two beasts she killed before, the beast approaching her looked nothing like the two beasts. This beast was transparent like a crystal and had only one eye, no other facial features. Lucky us, another ugly thing came to greet us. Ayag rolled her eyes. I once read a book called Ancient Beings. It recorded all sorts of monsters and beings. By the look of this beast, it must be Glass Wraith. You seem to have read an awful lot of books for an orphan. Ayag frowned. Not only Ayag but also Sarba and Kane felt surprised by her knowledge about this world. They even saw Ghost ask her for information, and he was a freak of nature who could do anything in their minds. In the short amount of time they followed Gaia, it felt like there was nothing that she didn't know. If I told you I am a princess, would you believe me? Gaia looked at Vidora with a small smile on her face. You? A princess? Ha! Ayag burst into laughter after hearing Gaia. Stop playing around and kill that beast. Roar. The Glass Wraith roared out once again. Somewhat Kane had a feeling that the beast wasn't surprised to see the human in front of it. To Kane it seemed like Gaia didn't tell them the whole story about this place. The Glass Wraith carried an extreme killing intention as it quickly sprinted towards her. Since this ugly fucker is tired of living, we should send him to hell. Ayag was laughing out loudly in excitement as Gaia knocked a fire arrow on her bowstring, preparing to shoot the moment the beast come into her target area. One more chapter about Gaia's adventure and we can finally start the tournament. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. Chapter 332 Boom. The moment the glass wraith came close enough for her to kill it, she released the arrow from her bow. The fire arrow left a trail of blaze of fire in the air staring from Gaia's bow to the beast's location. The arrow hit its target, creating an explosion. She infused the arrow with her cultivation power to obliterate the glass wraith. The beast's body shattered instantly because of the impact. It turned into pieces of crystals and scarred across the place. Humph, so weak. Ayag was laughing out loudly seeing how easily the arrow killed the beast. However, before she could finish having a laugh, her eyes went wide in shock. The three heads could see the broken crystal pieces assembling back to normal in an instant, making the glass wraith whole again. Here's a lesson for you, Ayag. Never laugh too soon. Unlike Vidora, Gaia knew this would happen. To kill a glass wraith, one had to exhaust all the energy in its soul, which meant she had to kill the beast again and again until it could not resurrect again. The glass wraith was extremely angry. It roared out in fury as it dashed towards Vidora once again. This glass wraith was a rare and unique life form. It didn't possess any kind of innate ability to cast spells, it only relied on its Boda strength. It could rip anything apart. Besides, the bright light that shot out from its body could cause devastating damage. Anyone who got hit by it would either die or suffer severe injuries. What are you waiting for? Kill it. Vidora felt somewhat depressed, even humiliated when the glass wraith resurrected. In a blink of an eye, Gaia fired another fire arrow at the beast. Just like before, the shattered glass wraith was restored back to its original shape, which looked and felt exactly like it did before. What the fuck? Ayag's fury ignited. She felt like she herself was fighting the glass wraith. Calm down, we need to kill the glass wraith again and again until it has no energy left in its soul to resurrect itself, as she said. She fired another arrow before the glass wraith could leap towards her. Yet again it shattered into crystal pieces before assembling its whole body again. What an abnormal monster. Only we had this ability. Ayag's eyes sparkled. Who would be able to kill us? Ayag wondered. Stop daydreaming. After all the time they spent with Gaia, Ayag was used to getting flicked on the head. So when Gaia flicked her this time, she just ignored instead of bickering. Boom, boom, boom. Gaia fired a fire arrow one after another, shattering the glass wraith again and again. After being killed several times, the glass wraith's energy in the monster core reached a critical point. Realizing the threat of imminent death, the beast immediately turned around, fleeing with extreme speed. Since it was a core formation level beast, it possessed basic intelligence, hence, it finally understood how powerful its opponent was. If it continued fighting, it would get itself killed here. It's running away. How we got that bastard? It didn't take a genius to figure out why the glass wraith was running away. Because its resurrection caused some slight humiliation to Ayag, she wanted nothing more than seeing the glass wraith shatter into pieces and not getting resurrected again. Gaia was not in a hurry to kill the glass wraith. She let it run for a few more seconds before firing the arrow. The blazing arrow soared through the air, aiming at the glass wraith's back. Just as before, the arrow made the body explode, but this time, the shattered pieces stayed as it is. Buzz. Followed by a buzzing sound, the broken crystal pieces which were shattered around the place formed into a fist-sized crystal ball that floated in the middle of the air. Is that the glass wraith's monster core? This is something good. Vidora noticed a curious look emerging on Gaia's face. Gaia had quick hands. In an instant, she grabbed the crystal ball with her hand, then she said, "Wow, this contains pure arch energy and even a sliver of celestial energy within. Didn't you say the monster cores of the beast here contain impure energies? What makes this one different?" Ayag asked. No one can absorb the monster cores found in the beast here without purifying them first, but this one is different. According to ancient beings, the glass wraith is born from nature after having absorbed pure arch energy. As I said before, not only does this core contain huge amounts of pure arch energy, it also contains a sliver of celestial energy, which means any cultivator can absorb it directly. So are you gonna absorb the energies? Gaia shook her head. It do little to no good to me. Because the core is from a core formation level 2 beast, I'm way stronger than the beast. No use in absorbing anything that's not stronger than you. However, if we can bring it out from here, we can sell it for a fortune, she grinned, tossing the crystal a couple of times in the air and catching the core. Cores like this can be only found in places like this. Out there, it's extremely hard to get a core from a beast above body strengthening stage. So that's why there are so many people who are risking their lives in places such nether realms. Sarba had a look of realization on his face as Kane opened his mouth. Plus, they also get battle experience. Alright, I'm sure there are a lot of glass wraiths here. Oh boy, we're gonna be rich. A bright smile appeared on Iag's face. Although Gaia knew she could make a small fortune auctioning the cores, getting the crystal cores was no easy task. Only idiots venture into ancient places looking to make money. Let's imagine if someone bumps into a glass wraith which is at the same level as he or she, they are fucked. Even if they were one level higher than the beast, they'll be still fucked. Instead of one getting the beast's core, it will get the flesh and blood of an idiot. Gaia was not here to make money. If it was, she could have stayed with Ghost and made millions through the Majestic and Hades. Her goal was to find the five-headed serpent. Absorbing its soul would start her metamorphosis. According to Nagaland's history, only Gaia's mother managed to slay one and absorb its soul. It was the reason for her mother's terrifying power, but the power came at a cost. During the fight, Gaia's mother was wounded by the five-headed serpent. Its poison slowly spread through her body, reducing her life little by little. If only her mother knew Ghost before, he could have saved her. Look at the bright side, we are not idiots who are looking to make money, but since we are here, it doesn't hurt to make a fortune, Iag said with a grin on her face. Alright, let's resume our journey. I suppose this place is only the outer perimeter, so let's move out from this abyss and start going towards the depths of the realm. It's better if we could bump into some edible thing. I'm starving. Me too, Sarba agreed with Iag as Gaia continued to walk towards the realm's center. She leaped forwards, starting to fly in a straight line away from the abyss. In front of them, there was a grayish desolated area with rocks scarred all over the place. There were also some thick woods and some strange plants growing within. After flying for almost 15 minutes, Iag's eyes lit up. Hey, are you sensing what I'm sensing? Yes. I can also sense the same energy I sensed in the glass wraith, Sarba said. This is nothing to be excited about. Foul monsters are everywhere and we need to be extra careful. Cain tried to remind them that the fire demon and the glass wraith were just some appetizers. The real dangers of the realm might be ahead of them. Shut up, Cain, you're worse than this one. Iag hit Sarba with her head. No matter what kind of beasts come, they will flee getting their asses kicked. Hey Gaia, just be ready with your bow. Iag became narcissistic again. Just as Iag finished showing her narcissistic grin, a huge object suddenly got in their way. It was a monstrous three-headed raven. The raven was almost 5 meters tall while fully covered with black feathers. Coupled with its 3 heads and humongous size, it could easily scare someone with its looks alone. You just had to open your mouth, Cain sighed. Swoosh, Gaia saw a black fog kept rising from the black raven's body. It was neither dark nor ominous as the smoke that would envelop Ghost when he's in his full Dark Lord persona. Before Gaia could back away from the raven's path, it locked on his gaze at them. The pair of evil eyes stared at Gaia and Vidora. It had decided them to be its prey. Damn it, what kind of monster is this one? We've only been here for a short time, and we have already bumped into 3 ugliest things in the world. Iag gritted her teeth in anger. She wasn't scared of the raven at all. Although it was stronger than the fire demon and the glass wraith they previously fought, it was still a core formation level 4 beast. She knew the raven was not a match for Gaia. However, what pissed her off was that this raven had appeared right after she boasted. This gave the other 2 heads a reason to mock her when the time came. Chapter 333. The royal land had never been busier than today. There were only joyful faces as they headed toward the arena for the greatest tournament for warriors in Elon. Music filled the air as the people felt chock full of adrenaline-pumping happiness. The vibrancy of the event, the energy of the dancing dragons, the fireworks that made an artistic canvas of the early morning sky, was looked forward to by all. The people flowed like rivers, never stopping for obstacles but swirling around them. On those wide avenues of royal land with wilted trees, their leaves curled and blackened in the gentle morning heat, the buildings towered on each side. The crowd had a life of its own, their vibrant clothes shone in the morning light and the people moved like enchanting shoals of fish. There was chatter between sellers and buyers, old friends catching up, new friends making. It's busy for sure, but the hustle and bustle brought life to this city one wouldn't want to be without. Among the crowd of people, half of them had their faces painted in various colors. They showed support for their star by this gesture. Even the little kids comfortably sitting on their father's shoulders had their faces painted. Life might be hard for some, but today, there wasn't a face that did not show a wide grin. Excitement, adrenaline, fans, and a perfectly manicured turf were all things that came to Ethan's mind when he entered the arena through the VIP entrance. The Ataxia was one of the most impressive arenas he has ever been to. If anyone visited this arena for the first time, they would be overwhelmed by the size and beauty of its massive structure. The majestic arena stood almost 600 feet high and could seat 130,000 roaring fans. The first thing Ethan noticed when entering the stadium was the ocean of crowd. He thought it would be more suitable to call them fans as there were so many of them, wearing the various colors of clothes, painted faces, and carrying boards that had their heartfelt message written on them. For people like Ethan, it was just a board, but for the diehard fans, they were like bridges that connected them with their stars. They waved the boards up in the air, hoping their stars would take notice. The entire arena filled with people was so beautiful, it was like a painting painted by the happiest painter in the world. There was excitement and anticipation in the air as the thousands of fans started singing and chanting for the sex and the stars they support. The noise kept getting louder and louder as other fans arrived and joined in. There were thousands of fans cramming their way into every available seat. The seats for anyone except VIPs were made of cold hardwood and painted white and yellow, the two colors that represented the royal land. Although the wooden seats were not really comfortable to sit on as they were built so close together so one had to squeeze into them, the excitement in their hearts overshadowed the discomfort felt by their bodies. The arena had loads of smells. Ethan could smell the gentle morning breeze. The aromas from different foods were so strong he could actually taste them in his mouth. There was also a smell of freshly brewed ale that had been spilled time and time again. The sunlight reflecting on the gigantic mirrors set all around the arena was blinding. It shone down on the field, the crowd, and made everything look so bright and dazzling. In addition to the mirror, there were lights set on massive metallic structures, which held them high above the arena. They could be seen for miles as they lit up the night sky. Below the set of lights on the west side of the arena was a scoreboard. It was magnificently lit up. At the moment, the scoreboard was empty, void of names. After looking at the accommodation for the normal people, he was glad he was able to buy VIP tickets. The VIP accommodations were located on the east side of the arena, closer to the battle area, built on an elevated stage to give them a clear view of the fights. Moreover, their seats were not wooden chairs, they were recliner cushions. On top of better seating in view, the VIP balcony also had ruby cuisine stalls set up so the VIPs could get better and tastier foods, and merchant stalls that sell opera glasses for children and for those who have problems with their eyesight. Ethan was carrying buckets of snacks which include honey popcorns, roasted chicken legs, fruit juices, and some other snacks he had never even heard of before to his neck. Yet he was being pushed by his wife who had nothing in her hands. The only thing Ethan took pleasure in was, every man in his family had the same fate as him. Walk faster, Ethan, you have glue stuck up your feet or something. For crying out loud, I'm a lord of this family and carrying all these things like a servant. Well, you were the one who said it's a waste of money to buy tickets for the servants, Diana retorted with a chuckle. Ever since she made the promise she won't cry anymore after reading the interview of Ghost, she had become the joyous person she used to be. If I knew you people would spend that money on these snacks, I would have bought tickets for everyone. At least, I would have been spared from being a mule. Ethan rolled his eyes while navigating through the seats. Stop bickering, you two, these are our seats, Imelda reminded both Diana and Ethan. She first let the kids take their seats while supervising the men to their seats. In the Winston family, after Ethan's parents and Diana, Imelda held the highest authority. All the family members looked up to her leadership when Ethan was stuck. She was a natural-born leader. Among the three Hunt sisters, Diana was the rebel, Natalia was the silent child, and Imelda was the opposite of both of them. She was a disciplined, outspoken child. More than anything in the world, she loved her sisters. That was the reason that even after running away from our continent, she refused to get married, as she had seen marriages tear apart a family. She never wanted to be put in a situation where she had to choose between her family and her sisters. To this day, Imelda never regretted her decision not to get married. Everyone in the Winston family loved and adored Imelda. The children loved just as much as they loved their mothers, or even more. Miriam, don't fight with your brother. Bernie, you take that seat over there. Uncle Fedor, don't you dare stick that gum under that chair. She was the last person to take her seat after scolding, diffusing fights, and disciplining everyone. The entire Winston family was here except for Rowena, Natalia, and her husband, who refused to see their son getting beaten. What would we do without you? Diana squeezed Imelda's hand when she took her seat beside Diana. You guys will be like headless chickens without me, Imelda chuckled while playfully pinching Diana's cheeks. Suddenly Imelda's smile became a frown. You look different, Yen. Diana hoped she wouldn't notice the difference, even though she deep down knew Imelda would. Diana shared everything with her two sisters, however, this time she wasn't going to. No one must know about her leaving the house to kill the Reapers. Michael met only 4 Reapers, but in reality, more than 50 Reapers had picked up the contract for his head. It was Diana who kept the Reapers from swarming Michael. Of course, she knew she couldn't keep track of every single one of them. That was why she shadowed Ghost from a distance. Even when Michael killed the 4 Reapers in a forest and killed a Reaper on his way to Royal Land, she was always there for him in case something went wrong. Seeing her son battle people ahead of his cultivation stage reminded herself of her. She was proud, but at the same time she was also worried. I'm just excited to see him again." Imelda knew by him, Dien meant Ghost. Diana hid her secret life by telling Imelda the truth instead of a lie. "I hope Andrews don't get on the stage with him," Imelda sighed. They spoke in whispers so the others couldn't hear them, not that anyone could in the cheers of the fans. "Where are they anyway?" Imelda looked around to locate Noah and his group. "With Maisie's family, I think," Diana said. "Maisie's family here?" Imelda grinned with excitement. Ever since she met the cute little girl, she wanted to meet her family. "Do you know Maisie hates him?" Suddenly Ethan came into the conversation. He emphasized the word him. The 2 ladies turned their heads at the same time to look at Ethan. "Now that you said it, I did notice the little girl frown when something comes up about him." Boom. 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 Just as Ethan was about to tell them what happened inside the Nether Realm, 3 loud bell sounds reverberated the arena. Immediately the crowd went silent. "Welcome to the championship tournaments," a cheerful male voice sounded after the bell sounds. "With this, the tournament has finally started. If you like this chapter, please comment, send power stones. If you really like this chapter and my novel, consider sending me gifts as it would motivate me to put out more chapters. Any criticism, feel free to bash me in the comments. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.